amazing. We're done with that though. Isn't the jump rope? Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake, then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BullMuscle. For those of you who know me as Beer Battered Ag, yes, I'm going through a rebrand. This seems like a pretty good time to talk about that, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm a die-hard Aggie.
The eyes of Texas are upon you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell! So goodbye to Texas University. We're gonna beat you all to chiggaroo-garem, rock tough, real stuff, Texas A&M. Goodbye.
We get a little bit more all. So why can't I click all? Oh, yeah, there it goes. Nice. Alright, let's do one more bronze bar. If you adopt the mindset, and this is a quote from Jacob Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme. Good morning, everyone. Welcome on in. It's Friday. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is 9 o'clock. In fact, it's actually 1 after, so we're slightly behind. No matter. Let us begin. Today, we've got the most important day of them all, leg day. Good morning, Phoenix. Always love seeing you in chat. Seems like you've very quickly become a regular here, and I appreciate that, so thank you. Start off with a little rope. Okay, that's not a good start. Come on. Probably, we don't need to go too crazy with it. This being leg day and all. No streaming and working, so I have something to watch. Well, fantastic. And I don't see any problem with that. A lot of people say, oh, you know, it's the same thing as multitasking while teleworking. If you're getting what your company asks you to do done, then, you know, basically as long as you're living up to the promises you made when you signed your employment contract, I don't see any reason why you can't have this on in the background. It seems perfectly acceptable to me. Perhaps I'm odd, though. Beautiful day here in wonderful South Carolina. It's a lot less warm in here than it was yesterday. Yesterday it was 94, 95, 96 degrees. I guess in here it's probably closer to 80 right now, which is a lot more manageable. Strong like bull indeed. Welcome, Nick. Big Red, welcome as well. You work from home, so you're all good? That's nice, dude. I get one day a week of telework, and I love it so much. I still get more done than I do when I'm on the job at the office. It's nice, but I know a lot of companies are talking about trying to return to work at least at a hybrid level. I can sort of get the point of that, assuming it's necessary. And there's a point to it, right? Having more people in person just for the sake of having more people in person helps nobody. Now, if there are good reasons to do it, brainstorming sessions in particular are a really good reason, where face-to-face interaction between, like, let's say a group of engineers, that makes sense. I can understand why you would want people to come into office for that. But that doesn't need to happen 4 or 5 times a week. That can happen once or twice per week, and it'll work just fine. A few hours at the end of July, and I'm moving soon. Well, that's not so bad. I mean, how far away is the office from where you live? Texas is still preheating, not even peak summer yet. Lab boys, bro, I ran in 102 yesterday. Yeah, see, this is the thing. And South Carolina is more humid than all but the easternmost parts of Texas. No, people around here say South Carolina has the worst summers in the country. It's not even close. The worst in the country is Louisiana because it's the perfect combination of blisteringly hot, extremely bug infested, and very, very humid. And then polluted on top of that, so the quality of the air you're breathing in is worse. So Louisiana has the worst summers in the country, I think. Texas would probably be in the top 5. Mississippi probably is up there. Surprisingly, Alaska, I've heard, has atrocious summers because all that daytime, you might think having 20 hours of daylight per day is a good thing, but it fucks with your sleep schedule in your head. And the other thing is that apparently the mosquitoes are otherworldly in Alaska. Now, that's a rumor. I don't know how true that is because I've never spent much time in Alaska in the summer. But if that's legit, then perhaps Alaska does have a stronger argument than it might appear. The other part of that is there are parts of Alaska where it's still quite cold in the summertime. And that kind of sucks too. I mean, you want it to be a little warm. Oh, all right. I know I'm not going very deep here. I'm just warming up. Always takes me a couple reps to really work in that range of motion at the beginning. We were preheating. Oh yeah, Texas is tough. Let's see. Taylor Swift fans dressing up like ghosts to avoid work scene. No, I have not heard about that, Big Red. I don't generally follow celebrity news that much. Yeah. See, here's the thing with Wisconsin, though, and places like that in the Midwest. Mosquitoes may be quite bad in the summertime, but one, I doubt they're worse than they are here in the South. And two, they only have to deal with them for 2 to 3 months a year. Whereas mosquitoes are an 11-month-a-year problem here in South Carolina. Mosquitoes here, and you can look on a map just to prove the point, because here we have both heavy concentrations of African mosquito populations, Aedes aegypti, and Asian mosquito populations, more commonly known as the tiger mosquito. That's the difference. In parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, the places that are very famous for having lots of lakes and therefore lots of mosquitoes, it's only one species, and as a result, the concentration is not as high. I think it's just Midwesterners being a bit soft, to be honest. If you're really trying to sit here and tell me that the lakes of Wisconsin can hold a candle to the bayous of Louisiana or South Florida in terms of mosquito problems, I have a hard time believing that. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I really do think And I have maps to prove it that the South really does take the cake here. There are only, like, seriously, South Carolina here has a worse mosquito problem than most parts of Africa. Like, it's bad. And the same can be said for Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and of course, especially Louisiana. Almighty Bandit, good to see you. Just America, you go to India where Dad's head is from Guyana. I'll be like, I'll take America for 5,000. So that's the thing, right? I've looked up mosquito population maps in the United States, and the southeastern United States is every bit as bad as the worst parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, India, or South America. Because again, the difference is, right, those two areas, for instance, take India actually is like the United States, it's got both. But like Southeast Asia, you have lots of tiger mosquitoes, but you don't have the sub-Saharan African mosquitoes. We have them both here. Hey, good to see you, Westifer. Thai mosquitoes are next level. Dengue fever was 5 times worse than Rona. This is true. See, that's the thing though, especially here in the further east you go, the more of them you get here in America. The mosquitoes you find in Thailand and Vietnam, they're tiger mosquitoes. And having lived in both Texas and South Carolina, there are far more of them here in South Carolina than there are in Texas. Yeah, I'm told they're big. See, now that's the thing. I've heard, oh, the office somewhere. Okay, Nebraska, yeah. See, the nice thing with Nebraska is it's just windy enough to where a lot of the mosquitoes aren't as bad. They're nasty, especially when the Missouri River and the Platte River flood, but that's a less common occurrence. Again, I have lived a lot of different places, and Louisiana's the worst in the United States by a country mile. Short of that, the rest of the Southeast is a direct number 2. Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi. Texas still has them pretty bad, but it's not, unless you're in the farthest east parts of Texas, which borders Louisiana, it's not as bad. Again, I've lived in both, I can confirm. One is substantially worse than the others. Okay. We're slogging along here, so let's get a little bit of music going. We're gonna hit this. Yeah, no, the mosquitoes you dealt with in Thailand, bro, they exist here. In fact, they were imported here. They're an invasive species, and they actually cause quite a few problems for native flora and fauna. All right. There we go. No. That's the wrong song. And it's not connected to my headphones, which is also not ideal. I don't think I'm going to get DMCA'd for that clip. At least I really hope not. Shoot. Hang on. I need music for this. Let's go with Eruption by Van Halen. Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting by Elton John, which is what the opening bit of that song was. Pretty solid running song, though. It's not a bad running song. Damn it. Connect, come on. It's doing that thing where it won't. This is annoying. Give me just a sec. Do you think you beat Sidney Crosby in a cage fight? No. Have you seen what Sidney Crosby can squat? That man has an ass with his own zip code. Hockey players are next level, not to mention Sidney Crosby, as many concussions as he's had and as much he gets protected by the NHL, the man is a professional hockey player. He is tough. I don't like Sidney Crosby. I think he's a whiny little bitch. But he's one of the greatest hockey players to ever lace him up. And he's tough too. He'll whine like you wouldn't believe because he knows that's what's gonna get his team the most power plays. I get it. Like, I get why he does it. I don't like it, but I get it. There we go. So the answer to that question is, I'd like to think so, but no, I don't think I'd beat any professional hockey player in a cage fight. Maybe one of those European like 5'6" dudes that are like really, really quick on skates, but can very easily get bullied in the NHL. But like, if you put me in a ring with Tom Wilson, I'm getting my ass beat, for instance. Also, Tom Wilson is amazing. Tom Wilson is the goal. Like, go look at pictures of him in the summertime when he's training, because he trains at an MMA gym. His body, that's almost, because he's 6'4" and like 220, so basically just slightly bigger than I am, so that's kind of the goal. Why is this not connecting? God damn. Okay. Well, we're gonna just YOLO it and hit a set. I'm getting pissed off. I bet you could beat current day Gretzky. Gretzky was notoriously fighting averse. He really did have bodyguards basically to do his dirty work for him. Reset phone. I'll probably do that. Let's just hit this first. All right, I see we already got 15 people in, so that's good. That means we're gonna hit egg whites after the lift. 2, 3. Here we go, 16. Sick is 2, boogeyman about Tom Wilson. Oh, Dave Steckel, yes. That hit was dirty. I'll admit that. The hit Steckel laid on Crosby. Yeah, that was more than 10 years ago. That shit was evil. That's the thing, people say Tom Wilson's a goon. No, he's not, he's skilled. He's many things, but a goon isn't one of them. You want to call Tom Wilson a dirty player? I can live with that. If you want to call him a goon, you're just salty. A goon is an unskilled, dirty player that gets time on the ice just because he can wreck shit up, cause fights, but otherwise he's pretty useless, especially on offense. Guys like Ryan Reeves are goons. Rocket, good to see you. Good to see you, Dalty Walty. Yep. Oh, we're just beginning. Do you think you beat Kanye West a cage fight? Probably. I don't know how in shape Kanye is. He hangs out with the Kardashians all day long. He can't be in that good of shape. Wilson's just a good troll, I guess. I'd say Wilson's just a good player. He just plays, right. If Tom Wilson played in the 90s, none of what he does would be particularly egregious. What Tom Wilson reminds me of are guys like Scott Stevens. And yes, I know Stevens is a defender, Wilson's a forward, but the point is, they're strong, big, physical type guys that just dole out hits. But they're also good at playing hockey. Let's see if I can get it to connect. while I do that, I'm gonna do a set of calves. Wester says, Mel and I finally moved in together. Congratulations! Much nicer place, the front yard and back balcony, a little yard. Your mortgage, it was the first time moving in with someone. Yes! Hey, thanks for the alert, share, and appreciate those blackout curtains. They're definitely working. I got north of 8 hours of sleep for the first time in a while. So, as someone who, frankly, I can't remember the last time I had a place to myself. I've had roommates basically every time since I graduated college. Hey, Phoenix System, good to see you. What's up, girl? Starting out, what I would say is try to figure out a way to divide labor somewhat evenly. I personally am a huge mantra of if you cook, they clean. If you clean, they cook. Now, if y'all don't want to share the same meals, one, that may cause problems down the road, but two, that's fine. In that case, he who cooks also must clean, or she. Just woke up, how's work? Not bad. Not bad. We'll do a set of calves. This is still deciding not to connect. Connect. Oh, that's why. These are off. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna connect. I'll give you some more advice on that in a minute. Okay, so Wes, here's another good piece of advice. Let me go ahead and turn this down just a touch. Another good piece of advice for you is consider try and come to a mutually agreed upon term for a acceptably clean standard. Basically, if both of y'all are slobs, this can be a lot less. If both of y'all are clean freaks, this could be a lot more. But problems come in when you have someone who's a clean freak and someone who's a slob, or vice versa, right? As long as y'all can both agree on what is clean enough, that's the key. All right, so now, Padres think they're best in the West, that's what's in. Didn't they lose to us Nationals at a point? We suck. How are they that good? It's fantastic to cook, I'll leave that to her and do all the dishes. A very wise solution. Again, the key is mostly, I think, communication, right? You guys can talk about it, and it's like one 30-minute conversation. Talk about it, figure out what y'all believe a fair division of the common household tasks are. Doing laundry, cooking, cleaning, dishes, scrubbing toilets, mowing the lawn, the basic ins and outs of house maintenance, right? Figure out what both of you can agree on is a common and equitable division of labor, and that will eliminate so many arguments. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Okay, so we're at 315 pounds here. 125, 205, 260, 215, 265, 315. What I've started doing, I'm gonna go ahead and tilt this up just a tick, is I'm trying to get a better sense of squat depth. What we want, okay? Crease of the hips at the top of the kneecaps, so right about here. All right? I'm not going that deep. I need y'all to tell me. We'll do these, and I think I'll do raiders instead of overhead pulls, because I've got you guys set up over here. I'll do overhead pulls later. All right. Perfect. Are you more of a slob or a clean freak? I'd like to say somewhere in the middle. There will be times where I'll leave dishes in the sink for a day or two, but usually no longer than that. How's the wall bag setup coming along? Good. Well, sort of good. So the wall bag is still sitting over there. I've not been able to mount it yet, but I know what I need to buy, what hardware I need to get, and then I just gotta borrow my neighbor's drill and do it. I found all the studs. The challenge is that the holes in the wall bag do not match the gaps in the studs, so I can't directly mount the bag to the studs. So what I have to do is get a couple 2x6s, mount them to the studs in several different places, and then mount the wall bag to those 2x6s. So basically I'm going to get a frame. There's really just going to be two pieces of wood. I'm just going to directly drill into the studs. Skimming from the article, Slam Diego is free falling. So, as far as the wall bag setup is concerned, I'm actually probably going to go get it today. Last week, and this is why I prefer Home Depot to Lowe's, I went to the Lowe's in North Augusta to try and get the 2x6s. And I was going to get a 2x6x12 board, ask him to cut it in half for two 6-foot long boards. Their saw was broken. How are you going to be a hardware store with a broken table, like a broken wall saw? What the fuck are y'all doing? It's like one of the most common things people are going to ask you to do is cut wood into the pieces they actually need. Anyway, the reason I go to the Lowe's in North Augusta is just because I hate driving into Aiken, which is where the Home Depot is, because Whiskey Road fucking blows. But the Home Depot there is so much better that I'm gonna have to just suck it up and go. I'm looking for, speaking of today's Financial Fitness Friday, I'm looking for an entry point into Home Depot, stock-wise. It's currently floating just a tick above 300. If it dips back into the 290s or 280s, I'm gonna probably buy 4 or 5 shares. 280 would be an ideal point, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna get that. I don't like it as much at 305, but I'm gonna continue. I'm keeping an eye on the stock right now. I just got paid yesterday, so I do have enough funds to where I could consider throwing a few dollars into shares of it, but I'd rather wait till it gets a little bit further below 300. I've got the Home Depot song stuck in my head. You're gonna keep it stuck in your head, fam. There's always going to be projects. Are you renting or did you buy a house, Westford? All right, answer me that, and then I'm gonna hit this set. All right, so guys, keep an eye on squat depth for me, okay? Yes, sir. That felt pretty good. Not quite parallel, but close. Okay, so I need to go deeper then. Doing, breaking. Ooh, F. Hey, lab boys. Go check out Lab Boys TV on YouTube, y'all. He's awesome. All right, guys. It's funny. So, gonna be the Outer Banks this weekend, North End. Oh, near Duck. Duck Donuts is pretty good. They're giant, ridiculously sized, overwhelming sugar bombs, but they're pretty tasty. Man, they got swept by the Pirates. Are the Pirates good or not? I can't even tell. They're so inconsistent. I was talking to Tree about that about a month ago. Oh, another thing, Westifer, if you want the locals to like you, leave your Buckeye shit at home. Too many goddamn Ohioans. Y'all are fine, but like, you know, we appreciate your tourist dollars, but try to pretend like you care about the Southeastern Conference or the ACC. It'll help you a lot. Like, just pretend. The incognito. Every time I go to, actually I'm going to Kiowa Island this weekend after Saturday's workout, and I know there's gonna be loads of Ohio State shit there. Y'all have colonized their beachfront, and I'm cool with it 51 weeks a year. On Masters weekend, y'all get Augusta, fuck off from the beaches, that's our time. Pirates are mid, okay. I know the Reds were red hot recently. Yeah, we're a Duke hat with an NC jersey. Well, that'll get you some looks. That's peak trolling behavior there. Actually, out where you're at, you'll find that they're probably big fans of ECU, the Pirates. The purple and yellow out there. But yeah, Lab Boys TV, y'all. Go check him out on YouTube. He's the guy that gave me that wall bag and that hex bar behind me and the belt that you see me wear when I do heavy squats. So, he's my bro. He makes good content too. BMX, Muay Thai, stuff like that. Now, if you really wanted to piss off people in North Carolina, you just wear a shirt that says, "I don't care about basketball." That would do it. It's already getting pretty warm in here. My guess is it's somewhere around 80. Because I know especially on squat day, I put off a ton of heat. This is something else I wanted to talk about. Yesterday I did a workout in here. I think the quality of my workout starts to slip at a certain temperature point. And I continue to do workouts on Thursdays. Instead, I was thinking about doing my old school RuneScape rest day streams on Thursdays and moving the workout to Wednesday and doing it on site. The reason being, again, that it is oppressive. Okay, there's a big difference between doing cardio in 90, 95, 100, 105 degree weather and Wright Brothers belongs to Ohio. That's how you get guns pointed at you. Wilmington should be South Carolina. Nah, the inner Carolina rivalry only heats up when you talk about barbecue. Which, of course, South Carolina, of the 3 Carolina styles, South Carolina mustard base is the best. Fight me. None are as good as Texas brisket, but South Carolina does pulled pork the best. All right, let's hit another set of squats. But yeah, it's an unfortunate side effect of living where I do and not having an air conditioner here. I'm considering moving. I'm considering switching for the rest of the summer, going to 2 rest days and 2 stream days when I'm streaming, and then lifting twice at the site on Monday and Wednesday. So I'd like some feedback there. I've gotten absolutely none, so if I get no feedback, I'm just gonna do what I want. Unless y'all really, it seemed to me like the people on the Thursday night stream didn't care. So, Monkey, good to see you. New cam? Sort of. It's the cam I was using on my tower. I learned to hot swap it. I already gave my feedback, that's true. Could you get a window unit? Yes, but it wouldn't work. The trouble is, this is also my garage, and I have an electric car, and my roommate has an electric car. So, you get to a point where you're overloading the circuit. If you want to do that and run the air conditioners. So you'll follow wherever you may be. I appreciate that, Severus. Yeah, a window unit would be the move, but I have to upgrade my electrical circuit, and that's several $100s. That's a lot of money for marginal gain. And by the time September, October rolls back around, I can start lifting in here in the afternoon without quite as many problems. But it's just, I have to go slower. It sucks. All right, let's do another set. Again, crease the hips to the top of the kneecaps. Check me on depth. Ooh, okay, yeah, we're a little dizzy just standing out. That's not ideal. Yeah, it says 83 in here right now. And this is right next to the fan, which is pushing in cooler, unwarmed up air. So that tells me, yeah, we're already into the 80s in here. All right, no excuses, just do it. All right. You get this. feel like I wasn't deep enough in the first few. There is also something of an illusion. So you guys are slightly below the parallel line. This is gonna make it look a little bit off. Or a parallel might seem. Consistent and parallel, all right. That's great, appreciate it, thank you. That's good then, that's good then. Haven't seen you in a hot minute, monkey. I'm glad you're in here. Is that an after stretch you're going? No, well, sort of. That is called the Raider pull. It's named after Perry Raider, R-A-D-E-R. It's a bit of a forgotten exercise since the 60s. What it is, you're actually doing, it's half a workout, half a stretch. The way it works is you grab the rack or some stable point, you try to pull down while trying to raise and split at your sternum. The whole point is it's designed to increase the volume of your rib cage. Stretch out your rib cage after the compressive effects of heavy breathing squats. The idea here is to give you that barrel chested look, and moreover, help you get a greater volume of oxygen into your lungs for your sets of squats. You notice that calves. By the way, those of you who are looking for the handstand push-ups, we had 30 people in chat. We're 22 right now, from what I can tell. So keep an eye on that. We had 30, let me know. Come to SC and hang out with you. Have fun. Remember the new 2 Outer Banks of Pearl up Myrtle Beach. I was in North Myrtle a bunch of times over the last 2 months. It's a great place. I'm gonna be in Kiowa Saturday night. Well, Saturday night I'll be in Charleston, Sunday I'll be in Kiowa. That reminds me, Sunday morning's rest day stream is going to be moved just this week to Tuesday, July 4th, because I have it off. That sounds like fun. I could work out on Tuesday, but I think I'm gonna make it a rest stream just this time. While I'm doing Ultimate, Tuesdays is a rest day, so I think what I'm gonna do for the rest of summer is rest days Tuesday, in a sense, 'cause I'm doing Ultimate. Thursday, Sunday, workout days Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. In the mornings in here, in the afternoons, on Monday and Wednesday at the site. And then I'll probably switch back to 5 days a week come August, because Ultimate Frisbee will end. August is going to be weird. August I'm going to be out of town a lot. First week of August I will be in Boston, Massachusetts, for any of y'all that live in New England. Taking a training course at MIT and Harvard for nuclear grade air filtration. Pretty cool shit. And then mid to late August, I may try and do a few just oddball kind of streams, hanging out kind of streams, update streams. I'm going to be in Washington State, up near Tacoma, visiting my mom and going on vacation. And I've missed her in the Pacific Northwest quite dearly, so that should be a lot of fun. That's sort of the plan as it stands. All right, let's get back up there. Third and final set of squats at 315. So what we're gonna do a set here at 315. We're gonna bump up to 365, do probably one set of squat there, and then go down weight. Maybe two, perhaps three sets of like 225, but for a lot more reps. Really work on that breathing. Maybe a high bar set, just for flavor in there. I need proper music for this. I think I've got the perfect song. For any of you who are from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania metro area, I'm gonna play Gonna Fly now. And if any of y'all are gonna hate on me for that song, why? It's a banger. Who doesn't like Gonna Fly now? Let's do this. Nah, oh, more option. Come on. as you want. That's only 10. I was losing grip. Clip that. We're 7 on, we're parallel. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the follow, Ryan K. Hawkins. I see we have 30 people in here. Y'all are in the handstand push-ups post-workout. Yeah, I fucked up there. I didn't wipe the bar down. I didn't wipe my delts down. And this is another reason that heat really makes it hard. Because I start sweating on low bar, the bar is really slip on my upper back. You have to spend more energy stabilizing it and less exerting that max push with my legs. Makes it hard. No excuses. All right. This here is 365 pounds. We are going to move it. We're gonna move you guys back up. Plan on hitting depth. I was hitting depth the first 2 sets. Again, I would have hit it there. The bar was slipping on my back due to all the sweat. First time chat. By the way, thank you. I am Sid the Long Island. Now I can usually hit 10 parallel squats at 315. The trouble was not a lack of strength in the legs. The trouble was that I've gotten to wipe down my upper back where I placed the bar for a low bar. And I'm starting to sweat. Okay, so yeah, wearing a shirt helps. This is an unair conditioned garage in South Carolina. I need all the ability to cool that I can get. Well, you're right that a shirt would help in terms of keeping better friction, between the bar and my upper back, it would not help in the sense that I would be overheating a lot easier. This is an unfortunate constraint of where I live. And it's why I do the cut cycle in the spring and summer. But welcome to the channel. I am Sid the Long Island. I assume it means you live in New York. I live here in South Carolina. I can walk to the Savannah River bordering the great state of Georgia from here. So as you can imagine, yesterday we did a workout in here. It's 95, 96 degrees. We're already well into the 80s in here. It's just an unfortunate constraint of lifting. What I think I will do though is use this towel, really wipe myself down. That should provide enough friction. I usually don't have that problem unless I forget to wipe myself down. So ultimately that was my mistake. So we're gonna do a set of calves. We'll hit 365 and then we're gonna go down weight. We will hit reps, but is it that famous New York sarcasm I'm seeing there? Damn Yankees. Look, I normally don't have a problem with y'all. There's only one time I have a problem with y'all Yankees, and that is when you come down and you hit the beaches on Masters Week. And this bothers me because we are more than welcome to have you down on the Carolina coast the other 51 weeks a year. For Masters Week, we give you the city of Augusta. You're meant to stay away from the beaches that week. That's our week to enjoy it. Second mistake is having an improper belt. Wow. Sid the Long Island, I appreciate the constructive criticism, I guess, but how is your morning going? This is a very northern way of doing things right there. Immediately come into a chat and start pointing out things that you feel I'm doing wrong, instead of, hi, good morning, how are you? Northerners. Y'all are a trip, man. I love my Yankee brethren, but how is your morning going? Let's try that again. Shouldn't even be wearing a belt for this, for calf raises. There we go. Bring the belt over here for overhead pulls. No, I want the comments, but it wouldn't kill you to be, polite. I like having people on my channel on Twitch, but it's like, if you're gonna drop in completely new, a simple howdy goes a long way, man. I appreciate the constructive criticism, but if you're gonna say I have an improper belt, okay, elaborate. Why is it improper? What kind of belt do you recommend? Right, telling me I have an improper belt without following up and giving me any advice on how to fix that is not, this is not actionable. I can't do anything with that information. So, there's a difference, right? I like constructive criticism, but if you're gonna come in here and just be negative, but not give me anything to improve on, that's unhelpful. This is a positive community, and you're very welcome to stay here. Yeah, if there's something wrong I'm doing, I'd rather hear it, but if that's the case, you gotta tell me what the right thing is instead of leaving me here guessing. I think that's a fair thing to ask. And again, especially to a southerner, a little politesse goes a long way. It offers zero rigidity, you have nothing to brace off of. Get yourself an Inzer belt that won't turn you into a human stapler. I don't know, man. It's a basic leather belt. What the heck's an Inzer belt? I never heard of that. My workout equipment, as you can tell, is rusted out, probably from the 1990s at the newest, except for this pair of power blocks. I'll admit I splurged on those because they're awesome, but I'm doing this on a budget, you know? If I didn't have a budget, I'd have an air conditioning system in here. Ugh. All right, we get a set squats going on here. Howdy Pookie, welcome on in. No, but that's much more useful feedback. So, is an Inzer belt, is Inzer like the brand? Is it a style of belt? Is it one of those belts that has like a lever lock instead of a buckle? I'm very willing to learn. I've had people who are like legit powerlifters, guys who can deadlift 5, 6, 650, 700 pounds, come in here and give me advice. It's always very much appreciative. It's something I appreciate. It's a lever belt, it's made for powerlifting. I am not a powerlifter, I do this recreationally. I don't do this for sport, but that's good to know. I have seen a lot of guys recommend those. The trouble I have with those, and I've used one once or twice in the past. The trouble with those is that it's a trade-off. You do get increased rigidity, that is very true. The downside is that you tend to lose a little bit of ability to breathe. And if you're doing higher reps, it makes it a lot harder. Now for a set like I'm about to do here, where it's a set of 3, 4, 5, I agree, that increased rigidity would be quite helpful. So that's very good feedback. I appreciate that. Do you use an Inzer belt? If so, have you found that it helps you? When did you start using one? And is there a specific type? Does Inzer make multiple belts? Is there a specific one you'd recommend? If so, can you either drop it in the chat or on my Discord? Because I'm very interested in, you know, actually I'm gonna write a little note about this in my notebook here. Inzer belt. There we go. So yeah. So no, Sid Long on. I do appreciate the feedback. Bring a basic bodybuilder belt which offers zero stabilization. Use a lever belt for 10 years. You can find one on eBay for $40. That's good to know. I wouldn't be opposed to getting a second belt just for heavier squats. And I would assume, do you use it for just squats? Do you use it for deadlifts as well? What exercises do you use that lever belt for? The most important things I preach on my channel, by the way, is to always look for opportunities to learn. So, Sid the Long Island, I really do appreciate you coming here and offering constructive criticism. It's just the way you went about it. I mean, your name already it tells me that you're from the north. The way you went about it definitely proves you're from the north. It's just a stylistic difference. There's nothing wrong with it, but in that Yankee way, you're definitely a lot more direct than I am. Squat, bench, and deadlifts. So now, why would you use a lever lock belt for a bench press? I can get why you'd use it for squat or deadlift. Is it to prevent back arch when you're benching? And would you use it for an Olympic lift, like a power clean? And if not, why not? I would think for a bench press, you would want more oxygen, even at the cost of some bracing. This is interesting. I've never heard someone use a use a belt for bench pressing. So this is interesting to me. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out another set. So let me go ahead and hype myself up here a bit. Little Black Sabbath going. Lots of people use a belt for bench. So, if you haven't figured it out, I'm somewhat isolated here. And again, I'm quite old school. I'm not a competition lifter. I do this because it's good for my mental health and because I like helping people. And I've given out a lot of advice that has helped people, whether it be losing weight or getting into the gym. But I am certainly not you know, a guru who's been doing this professionally or for his life. I'm a nuclear engineer as my day job, and you can actually use the day job emoji if you're so interested. So this is very useful advice. I appreciate it. I'm gonna focus. I'd like to get 5 here. I will probably get 3. I'm gonna find out. This is always tough after doing several sets beforehand, which I have done. This would be my 5th set. I did a set of 16 at 265, 2 sets of 12 at 315, and a set of 10 at 315. I'm gonna try and get to parallel, or just about. All right. Get the sweat off of me. Yeah, I need to start the buckle. That's not good. I'm fine, but I should not have done that 4th rep. I do not want to go below parallel. There are people that recommend it. I believe it puts you at too big a risk of butt wink and can cause knee damage if you're taller. I give you the belt off my khakis if that helps. Not sure it would here, Wes. All right. I think we're gonna do one more set of calves at that, just because I like doing calves at heavier weight. Should get some low bar squat tutorials, posture power up with submission by improper walkout. Okay. I've done, we can't cause knee damage or multiple articles, Dude, if you're one of these guys, if you're one of these ass to grass guys, I'm not gonna get on board with that. Ass to grass squats are not necessary. You can't do the weight drop until your form is correct. I hit parallel there to the extent of my knowledge. If I didn't, I'd rather you say something. But a lot of what you're spouting is bro science, my guy. Look, okay, man, I'm natural. I've been doing this for a while. And while I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, clearly I've got some muscle mass in my frame, so I'm doing something right. This is, you are one harsh guy. No, ass to grass is not necessary. There's just as much science saying parallel is fine as to saying you have to go ass to grass. That's not true. Ass to grass is not necessary. Yeah, no, ass to grass it's fine if you want to do it, but it's not strictly necessary. A parallel squat is perfectly fine. And I am about to go down weight, so I'll need this. Not for tabs, but it's just science. Comes in hot. I'd like to know, all right, if you're going to sit here and be critical of my form, and that's fair. You have the right to do that. How long have you been lifting? What are your maxes? What's your height, weight? 'Cause if you're a bodybuilder, man, and you really know what you're talking about, I'm all game for that, but I've had just as many people who are in really, really good shape tell me parallel is fine versus, it seems about like a 50-50 split in terms of parallel versus below parallel. Most people say that 90 isn't deep enough, but for every guy says you're better off going below parallel, I hear another that says you're better off at parallel, so. There are an equal number of sports videos and sports science videos that say yes versus that say no. What I do need to do is get me a better pair of shoes. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because these are actually a pair of old runners I've been wearing that frankly I keep on for sentimental value. These bad boys are by far and away not the ideal shoe for a workout. I've kept them on all these years because they're one of the, actually got them from my dad when he passed away. It's hard. I know they're beat up and they don't offer very good lateral support, but it's a sentimental thing that's hard to get rid of. Been lifting over 13 years. Squat 635, deadlift 615, and bench 465. Damn, dude, that's really impressive. Someone's telling you to do less, you can get away with it. Turn off that video. Okay, you're natural. Cocaine Hard X, thank you very much for the follow. All right, sounds like you've got some legit certifications. I'd love to see you on the Discord so you can send me a lot of this information. It's very hard to dig it up after the stream and go from there. But I do need to go down weight regardless. What are we doing anyway at this point? Let's hit 225. But two I've generally recommended for basic get shit done levels of weightlifting are Alan Thrall and Mark Ripito. So, I think starting strength is pretty decent. The other one is super squats by Randall Strawson. That's helping me a lot. My maxes are certainly not where yours at. If you're natty and you're squatting and deadlifting north of 600, you are top 10th of 1%, I would think, in the world. Like, that's pretty close to professional, if not actually professional. But question then sort of becomes, if you are a pro, are you doing stuff on Twitch? No, I'll take the advice. Parallel issued. Yeah. Most people who prefer burr wears no belt at all. They prefer it to be on their bedroom floor. God damn it. Yeah, I have that part of my audience that just enjoys the aesthetic, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I feel like I put in a pretty hard workout. I'm pretty exhausted, pretty sore the following day whenever I'm done. But I am always looking for improvement, so maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. Very willing to learn, but Dr. Mike Israel on YouTube. Let me write that down. Israel. Oh, am I overhead pressing? Not today. This is leg day. Hip crease below the top of the kneecaps. Yeah. Crease. See, I've heard crease the hips at the top of the kneecaps, which is the same thing as parallel. If I'm not doing that, I'd like to know. It's kind of hard to tell in the middle of when I'm repping it. If I'm not going deep enough, yes, that's a problem and I need to fix it, but I don't know. Yes, that's 225. Just do below parallel because powerlifting. Again, there's a huge difference though, right, between what I call parallel, it's crease the hips at the top of the kneecaps, it's here, and this. There are a lot of guys that say go ass to grass, which is this. I don't understand the benefits to doing that. I think that's too deep. If there's, again, for every video I've seen that endorses going that deep, I've seen another video that says that's unsafe. So, which is, use your phone, film from the side. I typically do. I wasn't this time because I'm using the bench for, there's no such thing as too deep. I disagree with that. But it sounds like to me you know what you're doing, so maybe I should reevaluate that. I think there very much is. But here, I was doing this earlier before you came in. I'll happily do it again. Now, I should mention the camera is below that parallel angle here. Let me tilt that down just a touch. So crease the hips to the top of the kneecaps is right about here, right? Crease the hips is right in here. Top of the kneecaps is right here. It's parallel. Alright. Actually, for this one I'm going to do high bars. I haven't done a high bar set in a while. It's always good to throw. I like throwing one high bar set in there. Not because I like doing it more, but because it's worth still getting some decent experience with it. You don't want to get out of practice with any one form. I prefer low bar. I think most guys over 6 feet tend to, but it's still worth doing. What do you do? Do one side high bar. Yeah, but I do that at the end of a workout. Green is sick. The video in 2 hours, I grunting and wheezing. There's clearly no helping you. What? Bro, you come in here. Dude, I was writing down the advice you were giving me. You're just kind of being a dick about it. Like, whether or not you're right, you could very well be, but it sounds to me as though you are one of these guys that's like convinced 100% that everything you do is right and anything anyone else might be doing has to be wrong. You might well be right, but if you come in 100% standoffish to a brand new community that's never heard you before and start saying that, okay, have you ever heard the phrase, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar? It's that kind of thing. You come in here and immediately just start being negative and critical. People aren't gonna listen to you. Like, do you want to just feel superior, or do you actually feel like helping people? It's that sort of a thing, right? You could very well be right, but because you're coming off so standoffish, people are just gonna think you're being an asshole. It's not gonna help you, and you're not gonna feel good about that. I'm very much of the belief that I could improve, and I should improve, and that I'm not doing everything perfectly, which is why I was writing down what you were telling me. But, boy, man, there's a way to do that with a little bit of politics, a little bit of tact, and you don't seem to want to do that. Michael Midori, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I agree with Sid, next is the just because he reminds me of my dad and I miss him. That's a mood, I miss my dad. Michael Midori, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. You know, I'm sure, like if Sid is legit hitting the numbers he says he is, and I have no reason to doubt him, then maybe I should be listening to his advice, but in general, you know, for every guy that lists his numbers, that says you have to go ass to grass, I've heard an equal number that say parallel is fine. So I'll continue doing studying, but just because one person comes in and claims you must go ass to grass and there's no such thing as too deep, doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden going to say, oh, I should blindly follow what this person is saying. You know, trust but verify. That would be, right, because you could say, all right, you'd say someone else could come in here and say something objectively unsafe, like, I don't know, come in here the exact same way and say, oh, my numbers are this, that, and this, you know, 400, 500, and 600, or whatever for bench, squat, deadlift, and I believe in bouncing the bar off my chest. Now, that's obviously incorrect, and to a lesser extent unsafe and also painful, but the thing about this platform is, right, if you're just a rando who comes in here and offers unsolicited advice, right, how do I know to trust you versus trusting someone else? That's what I'm getting at. He could very well be right, but you gotta develop a rapport first. You gotta ease your way into that. It's just silly. All right, so let's do 2 sets of low bar at 225. We'll do another set of calves as well. Dude, I love that though. Imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. Imagine if someone came into that guy's channel and immediately just started criticizing just out of the blue. He may very well be right. at this point, you know, he's still a stranger. Thanks for the hydrate, I appreciate it. Living for 200 years. How do you think his sticks are gone? Oh yeah, he's gone. How much do I weigh? I weighed in this morning at 208 pounds. Pretty sure he's gone. Yeah, no, this is the end of your head. Oh yeah. No, a guy like that probably, I mean, that's the thing. You could very well be right, but he can also be a troll. I try my best to really learn from people because, in general, the health and fitness community here on Twitch is awesome. Like, very motivational, very helpful. Like, we will give you the advice and the knowledge you need to succeed. There are dozens, at least a dozen other streamers on Twitch that I would recommend with full heart. So in general, I'm pretty trusting. I want to listen to people. But where you get into trouble is, this is more, I'm saying this just as a life lesson. For those of you who are, you know, if you want to try and persuade someone, this is a lesson in how to be persuasive, or perhaps how not to be persuasive. You just randomly come in, don't introduce yourself, don't say good morning, don't say hello. Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Again, you could very well be right, but there's just, is it really wise to trust every random person that comes in here and immediately starts offering unsolicited advice? No, that would be foolish. All right. He is right. I mean, well, I would in general say my squat depth does need improvement. I've asked actual professional weightlifters that. They can say I could use a dip, another inch or two downward, which is partially why I moved the guards down here, down one notch, to try and help with that. But trust me, trust the faceless internet person. What's your max squat? 405. Do you have anyone, okay. Do you have any advice for someone who's never worked out in their life but needs to start losing fat? Yes, Michael Midori. Okay, the two things, absolutely Westford. No, I'm a dumbass. And again, the first way to improve, the only way to improve is to admit that you suck at something. And there are ways that I suck. In general, I would say, yeah, my squat and my deadlift are weaker than they ought to be for a guy my size and my experience. That's true. And I need to work on that. But Ag was my old name. Yeah, Westifer. So I used to be called Beer Battered Ag. I changed my name to BullMuscle for a variety of reasons that if y'all are interested in, I can talk about. So if you want to start losing fat, the first thing you need to do is obey the laws of thermodynamics. That means you must eat less than you burn. So there's a difference between losing weight and losing fat. All right? First thing is losing weight. If you wish to lose weight, you must run a calorie deficit. In other words, you must consume fewer calories than you expend per day. Now, if you want to lose fat and either maintain or gain the muscle or gain more muscle, you have to have a high enough protein count within the calories that you've got to build muscle. Protein is what builds muscle. So my recommendation is start with diet and then begin working out. The two things required to build muscle, I assume, right, if you're trying to lose fat, you also want to build a little muscle. You need to lift weights. I highly recommend doing squats. And you also need to run in a calorie deficit. You do those two things consistently, you will see substantial progress. Bull's old name, haven't said hard yet. Next political chat is going down. Bobby Aurora, you can talk about it whenever you'd like. We have it on my Discord in the adult conversation. As long as you're not an asshole, you can pretty much say whatever politically in there. All right, let me get back into it. That guy did get into my head a little bit there, for sure. It's hard, because, you know, he may well be offering good advice, but let me go, let's go Mean Street by Van Halen. Here we go. That's too tight. I don't need as much support in this way. I need more oxygen. All right, here we go. Oh, your legs not gel. It's tough at this point. Yeah, if you want to talk politics, Bobby, as long as you're not an asshole about it, go right ahead. This is an 18+ stream. You can talk about whatever you want. Watch your stream if you're a stapler. Look, I've squatted 405 before. And while that's not great for my size, the only time I've ever tweaked my back was because I got pissed off, tried repping 315 without a belt at all, and having lifted heavy with and without a belt, while that may not be as good as a lever lock belt, he's probably right about that. He is incorrect that this offers me zero rigidity. I've lifted without a belt enough to know the difference. My laptop is starting to run low on battery, so we may not go too much further. We're going very slow today, but it's all right. We'll do one more set of this, then move to fronts. Then we'll move to Bulgarians if we have time. Talk it up front to prison. Oh, I bet that's fun. Jobs can see your Twitch comments. Tiny Calves, random chatter. Thank you very much. Thank you for the first time chat. I don't feel like my calves are tiny. Are they? I feel like they're not huge, but they're proportionate with the rest of my body. Let's get another set going. Just where you're facing away, leaning on the table. Yeah, proportion gets weird because y'all are below most of my body right now, so it looks funky. Realizing you meant you're just busy applying. An idiot. We're all idiots. Yeah. No, Bobby, if you want, by all means, talk politics. I don't care. If the rest of the audience doesn't want you to talk about it, just say so. This is very much an anything goes type of channel. As long as you're not a massive dick, that's about anything. And again, if you have actual constructive criticism, let me know. I write that shit down. People give me videos to watch, I go watch them. I'm gonna go watch that, guys, because who knows, maybe it's legit. It's a 50-50 shot right now, but I'll check. Calves are hard to build. It's just obvious you don't work them out. Bro, did you not see I was just doing calves like a couple minutes ago? Whatever political party is pro-gains. In that case, dream on. The liftocracy is not coming anytime soon, unfortunately. One can only hope. All right, last set, low bar, parallel. I'm gonna go for 20 here. And this will be the last set of squats for today. I'd actually have to go grab the power cable. I've been going very slow today because I've been talking a lot, but that's all right. I like an active chat. Thanks, Dalty. This is something actually I need to talk about. I've actually had a lot of self-esteem issues over the years. I recently feel like I've gotten better at that, but there's a lot of times where I doubt myself. Even though, while I'm not an expert, my body would show that I clearly know what I'm doing at some degree in here. I may not be Arnold, but I'm not exactly the run-of-the-mill guy anymore either. Cut your hair too? Ouch. A lot of guys like the mohawk. I've been thinking about trimming it a bit up here. I like the mohawk. It's fun. Calf is a great thing to do. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. You had something to stand on? Oh, goddamn. Right, well, the criticisms are coming in hot and fast now. I guess I asked for it. Now I need to go listen to the song Tattered Goose by Frank Zappa. That's what I think. Thanks for the follow. There's your calves. It's eventful. Santiago, thank you very much. All right, Wes, always love seeing you. By the way, y'all, for y'all, well, if you're into college football, I know a really great community based around a board game based off of college football. Westifer, if you're still in here, we can talk about that. Jesus Christ. And I'm starting to overheat. Yeah, okay, so it's currently 84 degrees in here. It is starting to get hot. Probably not gonna go a ton further. We have about half an hour to go. Only got a few sets though. Should we move through this somewhat quickly? In front. All right. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to grab my power cord. I'm running out of battery in here. I might just go to 27 instead of 30. I might do that too. By the way, Wes, you and any of the other risk people are always welcome to promote CFB risk here. While it may not be a one-to-one overlap, I am honored to help grow that game for your sake. Always have been. You're a good friend. And I stay loyal to my friends. I mean, let's be real, Westford. At this point, it's Michigan, and then there's everyone else. Michigan just fucking hits different, man. It's that Ingo blog. You may not like them, but boy howdy, do they hit it. It's damn impressive, man. Still Def Leppard. Absolutely. Peace out, Wes. Probably won't go quite as heavy on this, just reaching the point of exhaustion. 2, 3, 4. Appreciate it, Wes. Spotlight, magnetic. Well, I'm gonna clean up after the show, just because we're running low on battery right now. So we're gonna do this set, a set of kettlebell swings, then we're gonna call it. Just because I'm running out of juice. In more than one way, frankly. I did a lot of squats today. I think I did pretty decent, all things considered. Definitely things I can improve on. Squat depth and making sure the bar isn't slick due to sweat. See what the temp is. Yeah, it's climbing. We're at 85 in here. Gotta get them Benjamin. Hell yeah, Nick. Thanks for coming in. All right, we're gonna do one more set on this. Do some kettlebells, and we're gonna be good. Come on. 2, 3, 4. We're done. Yeah, I'm gonna clean up after the show, so I'm running out of power. What's that? All right, let's head inside. Let's get some handstand push-up hype, y'all. Yeah, it's already 85 in here. It's getting warmer and fast. Onwards. That was not bad. Need to go a little faster. Almost. I can smell the fertilizer plant in Augusta from here. It's strong today. Got the industry going. Okay, let's plug the laptop in before we run out of power. Go from there. I'm gonna take a minute, take off my shoes, catch my breath. That was hard. I should have gone faster, harder. It's just tough when there's no way to cool myself very effectively out there. Oh my God. It's exactly what you think it is. It's for composting reasons. It's actually good for the environment. Yeah, if y'all like college football, check out that community Westerfer posted. You'll like it. Sardonic Jeff, hey, good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a hot minute. Welcome back. Okay. I will do handstand push-ups in a minute. I need to rest. Let's write down the rest of what we did. Step back. I mean, you can see the sweat glistening off of me. I am well and truly exhausted. And it feels ice cold in here now. There we go. Boost that fan a little bit. It is currently 77 in here, and it feels fantastic. Usually in the daytime, I keep my thermostat set at 82. At night, I'll run it down to 76. I may lower that to 80. I'm not sure yet. They say you're supposed to, I've heard 4 to 6 degrees is the optimum between running your compressor non-stop if you keep it at a certain temperature, and making it work too hard to recool the house if you let it go up too high. So I've heard mixed things on that one. Let me do a set eco temp. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it set to 80 in here for now. 80 is more than cool enough. Okay. Let's record our sets. And then today is Financial Fitness Friday. So if you guys have questions about finances, about the stock market, about investing, this is the time to ask. So we're gonna do, we did 2 by 5 at 175. Let's squat, and a set of 25 kettlebell swings, 55-pound kettlebells. So let's see, how many sets do we do in total? 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 15, 18, 20, 23, 26 sets. You stop telling us to look at your body, Jesus, you little magnet. I ain't saying nothing about that. I'm trying not to. Now my body's, we're gonna talk about that. Body's not where I want it to be. It's good. It's not great. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Cut cycle is definitely wearing on me a little bit. We're close to the end. I was supposed to end it on the 4th of July. Kind of wondering if I might not go for another week or two. I'm not quite as lean as I'd like to be. I'm close. I mean, like, you can see the visible abdominal wall, right? You can see my abs pretty well when I'm breathing there, right? I'm not constantly flexing them, for instance. Right, if I'm flexing them, they look like this. But if I'm just breathing, you can still see them. However, I wouldn't call it a six-pack. I'd call it visible abs. Maybe that's a very narrow definition, but I feel like, especially along the sides, the obliques, I don't quite have the definition that I had back in November of 2022. Ooh, yeah, me a wound back there. Cut up my back on the knurling doing all those low bar squats. That's not ideal. I would call them lunch. Haha. Lone Wolf, thanks for the Lone Wolf, excuse me. Thank you for the first time chat. Welcome on in. We're gonna chill here for a bit. We're gonna let the laptop recharge for a bit. Petite Trianon says you look amazing, absolutely amazing. I do appreciate that. Hey, Lone Wolf, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. I will do the handstand push-ups in a minute. I just need to let the laptop get a little bit more power first. Happy Friday, yes. Okay, so today is Financial Fitness Friday. As you see in the top left corner, I have this little countdown clock. For those of you who are new and haven't seen this before, what does this mean? I'm 28 years old, and my goal is to retire at age 29. I'm going to be able to do this, and it has nothing to do with how big or small my Twitch audience is. Struggle with accepting how I look too. My BFBs not as good as I wish. Hell yeah. Hey, Zayai, maybe I'm saying that wrong, 12. Thank you very much for the follow. We're getting a lot of followers. I love to see it because I think my goal is to try and hit 2,000 by the end of the year. I think we're somewhere around 1,450. So, you know, I'd like to see where it takes us. So, what we're gonna do now, if I can get some hype in chat, is we'll do our handstand push-ups. Just for full disclosure, I don't show it because I like focusing in on the upper body because that's what is the muscles being worked while I do it. I do occasionally bounce my heels off the wall. I've got the strength to do handstand push-ups. What I don't have is the balance, and I'm working on that, but it's difficult. So y'all will probably notice that. Handstand push-ups do occur whenever I hit 30 viewers at one point in the stream. We currently have 34, so awesome. We're gonna do it, but that's just worth mentioning. We're also gonna hit our abs. Today is the 30th, so it's an even day, which means we'll hit 60 seconds of 6 inches planks and side planks respectively. Probably thinking maybe crunches and sit-ups today. Maybe I'll do ab raises, I'm not sure. But we're gonna do that after handstand push-ups. Then we're gonna knock down 8 ounces of raw egg whites. I'll knock down my protein powder, and we're gonna talk about money, or talk about financial independence, and we'll have the Q&A section of this stream. So this is the time where you guys should be looking to pepper the chat with questions, okay? In the meantime, let's hit these handstand push-ups. For this, I'll turn the light on. I found in general, the lighting is better for handstand push-ups when I do. I'll move my journal over here for a moment. 1, Get some handstand push-up hype, y'all. Let's go. Oh God, my legs are killing me. That's a sign of a good workout. I'm sore, in a good way. All right, here we go. And again, if you like what I do, you want to hang out more off hours, please come join the Discord. I'd love to have you on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Here we go. There's 8. All right. We're busy. Let's put you guys back up. Plug the laptop back in so you don't run out of power. We're gonna hit. We'll hit abs next. So yeah, if you guys have questions, be that about financial independence, about the stock market, investing, fitness, diet, this is the time. Or just sit back, appreciate, and be supportive. That works too. And if you have criticism or constructive criticism about anything else I've done, always very glad to hear it. Just, you know, when you say it, be a little bit polite. For those of you who just showed up, I had someone who was offering, I think, what he thought was very constructive criticism, but that was the first time he'd ever been in my streams, and very direct, really almost too direct. Like the first chats, like it was just nothing but criticism, and you know, a good morning goes a long way. Basic politesse. All right, so it's an even day again, so we're going to hit 6 inches, okay? We're gonna hit 6 inches, we'll hit planks, we'll hit side planks, and then we'll hit sit-ups. 2, 3, 4. This is about the most basic ab exercise you can do, right? You take your heels, you keep them 6 inches off the ground. Anyone can do this. You know, if you can only do it for 5 seconds at a time, start there and work your way up. 20 seconds. 30. 45. 3, 4. All right, and switch over to planks. 8, 9. Switch. These are always a lot harder when I keep the socks on, so we'll do our best here. Ooh, I think is that a follow? Thank you very much. Or is that a subscription? Can't quite tell from here. Hang on. Come on, 10 more seconds. Come on. Side planks. I think that's a subscription. Thank you very much. I'll give you a shout out whenever I'm done here. Yeah, my abs are already pretty shot from doing all those squats. So if you guys aren't feeling your abs after leg day, engage them more. You should. Come on, 20 more seconds. 10 more. All right. John Deeds, oh, it's a cheer. Thank you for the bits. Good question, Lone Wolf. All right. Let me help you with that. Because I struggle with this too. I think to an extent everyone does. The real question is the intensity with which we all struggle with this. Caring about what other people think. In general, I try my best not to. Sometimes, I lose track of this. For instance, today, right, I was really trying to learn because there's a balance between blocking out other useful advice and being overly dependent on what other people are saying. This is why I wrote that down, and I'm gonna go do some research, but I'm not letting it, or I'm trying my best not to let it affect me. In general, let me turn the lighting up. What do y'all think, warm light or cool light? I think the cool light's better. Anyway, in general, when it comes to philosophy, Lone Wolf, I recommend the Stoic field. Stoicism can be boiled down to the locus of one's control, and to not care about what is outside of the locus of one's control. Let me explain. One of the things I constantly try to tell myself, and you better believe in there, about an hour ago, I was saying subconsciously to myself is, I should not worry about that which I cannot control. Excuse me. Let this be a mantra. If you ever find that you're overwhelmingly stressing out over other things that are outside of the realm of your control, stop, gather yourself. I mustn't worry about that which I can't control. I mustn't worry about that which I can't control. I mustn't worry about that which I can't control. I mustn't worry about that which I can't control. I mustn't worry about that which I can't control. Internalize that message, and that will help you immensely. That's what's helped me. You can read the writings of many Stoic philosophers. Marcus Aurelius is probably one of the most popular for a very good reason. The man was an emperor of Rome, and his advice has stood the test of time for millennia. Howdy, Metal Machine, good to see you. Welcome on in. So that's I would say, a very good piece of advice. Now, let me go ahead and do my other two ab sets. I'm going to use my shirt, but otherwise my back makes farting noises caused by an air pocket expanding and then collapsing along the curvature of my spine. There we go. Absolutely, Lone Wolf. This is a problem too many people have, but not enough people have the bravery to talk about. So, Lone Wolf, the fact that you've acknowledged this and you're asking for advice on how to improve it shows that you're going to improve on it. It's the first step. So, this is something else I would say. You have to. It's a troubling thing to discern wisdom, but if you find someone who's wise, someone who is successful, someone who is doing something better than you are doing, don't get insecure. Don't get jealous. Try to ask them for advice. Research and study to see if that advice applies to you, and then take what is functional or useful to you and run with it. That would be my advice. All right, let's do our final 2 sets of abs. We're gonna do sit-ups. I'm not sure if we'll do leg raises or crunches. I'm gonna see how I feel after sit-ups. 2, 3, nope. $37, come on. $43. $50. 55. 60. Hey, FM, good to see you. How you doing? All right, we're gonna do one more set. Then we're gonna knock down 8 ounces of raw egg whites. But yeah, Lone Wolf, that's a great question. And kudos to you for asking it. That's what this part of the stream's all about. This is supposed to be, in a lot of ways, a learning channel. But it's a two-way street. I can learn from you guys, you can learn from me. All right. Yeah, we're gonna just do crunches. My abs are on fire already. I don't think I need to do leg raises today. Go sideways so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. $15. $22. $33. 39. 49. 60. We're done abs. Algae, thank you for the first time chat, says, people do not care enough. I have the same problem too. It doesn't really matter. If people are thinking about stuff about you, they're also insecure. Sometimes. You have a very good point. Yeah, it's hard. Everybody has that point of pride, that bit of pride, Lone Wolf. Everyone has that bit of pride. I have it. FM, get some deep kitchen cleaning going in. Nice. But yeah, everybody has that little bit that cares about what other people think, because you think, everybody has, to an extent, main character syndrome, where they think, right, you know, you're the main character in your plot line. Everybody else is a protagonist, or you're the protagonist, everybody else is either a side character, an antagonist, like an NPC. Everybody has that problem, myself included. The less you can, the more you can convince yourself that that is not the case, the better off you're going to be. All right, so let's knock down some raw egg whites, put together our protein shake, and we'll go from there. We'll stretch out. We'll check the markets, because that's what else today is about. It's about money, financial independence, all that jazz. Oh, do we have bits? So, oh my goodness, we have a, oh boy, we have a Joe raid. All right, fuck it. Everybody else is in here. Welcome to the chat. My name is BullMuscle. I am going to, no, this is not the food flex. This is the chug raw egg white section of my stream. So, this is either gonna go really well or really poorly to the people who just raided. Welcome everybody on in from Joe Workouts. These are liquid raw egg whites. The reason I drink them is because for 25 calories, you get 5 grams of protein. For 100 grams, or for 100 calories, you get 24 grams of protein. To the extent of my knowledge, there is not a single more protein-dense food that money can buy. It's also disgusting. And because of this raid, normally I only do 8 ounces. Today I'm thinking a full pint. So welcome everybody on in from Joe Workouts. Joe is absolutely amazing. Joe, did you ever end up winning the contest for the title? I know I voted for you. Howdy, Spartan Ninja. Welcome on in. So let's knock these bad boys down. This is again raw egg whites. This is a full pint, and it's disgusting. Why raw? Because some of you, a lot of my audience are sadists and they enjoy watching me suffer. That's the main answer. So, King Rhyme, there you go. All right, for those who are just joining in, I would cue the Rocky music, but I don't feel like getting DMCA'd. Have a barf bucket ready. Oh, I've done this before. Marky Mark, True Forge, welcome on in. My name's BullMuscle. I work out, I do diet advice, and if you'll see in the top left corner, it's hard to see now, trust me, you'll see it in just a moment. My niche on Twitch is being a guy who is going to be able to retire before he turns 30. I'm 28, I'm going to retire at age 29, and I will, if you guys are interested, share the secrets to why I'm going to be able to retire far earlier than almost anyone else does. But first, cheers, and thank you very much for the raid, Joe. You too, Celty. I always love seeing you in here. Ugh. Oh. It's 200 calories and 49 grams of protein. Oh, God. It makes me feel sick. But, again, you will not find a denser source of protein that I'm aware of anyway. Joe finds out in less than 2 hours. Let's go! I'm hoping you get it, Joe. You so deserve it. You are really a just wonderful part of this Twitch community. You are a big streamer. Like, you're a real-time deal. You're building your own gym. You're kind of an inspiration to a lot of us smaller streamers. And as a result, I'm very grateful. You know, you could choose to raid anybody. Sometimes you choose to raid me, and I'm very touched by that. And Celty, you're the same way. I know you're not quite as big as Joe, but Celty, everybody, is another really great streamer. And I'm going to shout out, first off, let's shout out Joe Workouts. Is there a difference between raw or cooked? Nominally, no there isn't, but the reason I go with raw, apart from the fact that some of you are sickos and like watching me suffer, is because I can knock that down in 15 seconds. Cooking it, you gotta sit there and watch it cook, and then you either gotta use a non-stick pan, which has chemicals on it, you gotta use oil, which is added fat, or it's just gonna stick to the pan and then you can't actually eat all of what you're cooking. So that's the main reason. Let's give a shout out to our lovely workout, or our lovely raiders.
from Joe Workouts. If you have found this channel and you are not following Joe Workouts, please, 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 please go give Joe a follow. Better still, you know, check in with her. She is, I mean, she's like going professional with this stuff. She's trying to build out her own gym. She's got a lot of really cool stuff going on. So Joe Workouts, much love, and as always, I'm very grateful that you come in here. So let's knock down a protein shake, or rather, just get a protein shake constructed here. And we're going to talk, this is the Q&A section of the stream. So same benefits, just save time. Yeah, and again, I know there's a certain part of my audience that are sadists who like to watch me suffer. I will do another set of handstand push-ups. I don't normally, but for this many people, I think that's fair. If you guys give me some hype. So throw a little handstand push-ups hype in the chat, and I'll do another set. That seems like fair, something fair to do for me. So a little bit more about myself. I'm a nuclear engineer living here in the great state of South Carolina. I've been working out for 15 years, but that's not to say you couldn't get these results in far less time. I have made lots of mistakes over the years. I continue to make them. I'm imperfect, and I hope to learn from people who are more experienced than myself. So, where does that lead us? Well, if you like what I do, check out the Discord. You can press !Discord in the chat to find it, or I can put it in for you in just a moment. Let me finish making my little protein shake here. This is just Costco brand peanut protein, Costco brand chocolate protein powder, nothing fancy, kind of bone stock standard. I am natty because of my job. I cannot take testosterone, any form of steroids, or any form of hormones. So if you guys are wondering, is this guy natty? The answer is yes, I have to be. I don't have a choice. Would I consider going on cycle or on gear? Probably not. I'm close enough to where I like watching my body be, to where I don't feel it's necessary. And the other part of it is, juicing is expensive. Like good quality steroids and stuff is like thousands of dollars. That kind of goes against the whole ethos of this channel, which is, you know, financial independence and all of that jazz. You know, I have a used squat rack. Most of my weights are used. I don't run air conditioning in my gym for a reason. So, yeah, just try your best. Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to head back over here, and we'll do a set of handstand push-ups before going for the protein powder as a thank you to all the raiders that have just come in. So, raiders, thank you all so much for coming in. This is always very much appreciated. So here we go. So if you like what I do, oh, hang on, why I don't run AC in the gym? Pita bread is because I don't have AC in the gym. My gym is my garage, and because I have an electric car, and because my roommate also has an electric car, it would overload the circuit. I would need to spend quite a lot of money on an electrical upgrade that I just don't have at the moment, or rather that I'm not willing to spend. So I've thought about it. I definitely have thought about it, but not at this time. All right, so handstand push-ups. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Oh. So if you like what I do, consider joining that Discord. We have lots of stuff to talk about in there. Oh, and we're dizzy. These things always make me lightheaded. But yeah, I generally focus on, you can see in the top left corner now, it says financially independent, I'm free, 670 days, there's no mistake there. I will be able to retire before I turn 30 years old. And if that has grabbed your attention, this is the time to ask me anything you'd like. So this is actually a Financial Fitness Friday stream. Brussels sprout, yeah, we got to work out a raid from Joe Workouts. I'm also going to shout out Celty because he came in here, and Celty is just awesome in general. If you guys like more of the HIIT, CrossFit-y type stuff, I don't do that a ton, but Celty does, and I really love his channel. He's really positive. He's given me lots of feedback. I've given him feedback. So, again, much in the same way that if you have somehow made it to this channel, never heard of Joe Workouts, go follow her. If you've made it to this channel and never followed Celty, Celty's not quite as big as Joe Workouts, but he is just absolutely wonderful guy. Can't say enough good things about him. Please go follow Celty as well. Let me go ahead and knock some protein down. We'll stretch out. Oh. So we did leg day today. We did squats primarily, overhead pulls, calves, fronts, all that sort of stuff. So if y'all have any questions, again, this is the time to talk about it. Ask me anything. If not, I can kind of give you the synopsis on why I have this timer up here and why I will be able to retire at age 29. By the way, you will notice that there are virtually no ads on this channel, regardless of whether or not you're a subscriber. The reason for that is that I don't do this streaming for the money. That's not what I'm interested in here. I'm interested in helping people, in teaching people. And while I may not, again, be perfect, I'm not the most buff guy on Twitch. I'm not the smartest with my money on Twitch. I'm not, I'm not the sexiest guy on Twitch, I'm sure. But I'm good enough to where I think I can give a lot of useful information to people who otherwise might not have it. And for some of you, this may come off as basic information you already knew. That's okay. I'm trying my best to help, all audiences here. So, let's write down our macros. We knock down 16 ounces of egg whites, which is a lot. It's 200 calories, 40, I want to say it's 48 grams of protein, half a gram of fat, and like 1 gram of carbs. Hazal 27, thank you very much for coming in. Welcome. Looking good as always. Okay, I guess I should talk about that too. So you can see, if I just relax, you can see a visible abdominal wall, and if I kind of crunch, flex my abs a little bit, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would call myself what I have visible abs. I would not quite call it a six-pack. You can make that determination on your own as to what does and does not define a six-pack. I would guess my body fat scale, and electroimpedance scales are always somewhat inaccurate. It said 12.5% this morning. I would guess I'm anywhere between 12 and 15%. Probably closer to 15 than to 12, but mind you share your macros? Absolutely. So I'm 6'3". That is roughly 190 centimeters for international. I am 208 pounds. That's what I weighed in this morning. That's, I want to say, 95-ish kilograms, 94, 95, something like that. So the way I do it is I set a very conservative calorie goal in terms of macros. And if I don't, if I exceed it by a couple hundred calories, I'm still probably running a deficit for the day. My target is 2,200 calories. My BMR, using a basic BMR equation, is around 2,050, around 2,000, maybe a little bit now because I've lost a little bit of weight. And then, between non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT, the thermic effect of food, in other words, the calories burned digesting all that protein, fat, and carbs, and then, calories burned doing exercise, like that, that workout we did in there probably burned a couple hundred calories. You're 14% only of the top 4. You might well be just as much or even lower body fat percentage than I am. Things are unique from individual to individual, so just because I don't carry It may well be that I just don't carry as much of my fat here as you do. I may carry more fat on the rear, in the back, you know, in the arms, whatever. And it may well be that, you know, unless you've done one of those. So the truth is, the real body fat number, I do, Lone Wolf, I'm getting to that. The real answer is that it may well be that unless you've done one of those water immersion body fat percentages, those are the only real things that are accurate. Electroimpedance has like a 3 to 5% margin of error on either side, but electroimpedance is useful for tracking changes, right? It's always going to be wrong by the same amount. So if it says, if your electroimpedance scale says, let's say 20%, you could be 15%, you could be 25%. But if it goes down over, you know, a month or two to 18%, well, then you probably have lost just about 2% body fat. So that's a pretty good explanation there. Anyway, yes, I do track all of that. So let me go ahead and write down actually protein, 340 calories, 56 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, 16 grams of carbs. Anywho, what was I saying? Yeah, okay, so my targets, my calorie target's 2,200 or roughly that much in terms of calories. A lot of times I'll go over, but if I'm hitting 24 or 2,500 calories a day, I'm still probably running a deficit as long as I've been semi-active in that day. Again, between thermic effect of food, usually it's 8 to 10% of the calories you intake are burned off digesting, more if it's a high protein diet, less if it's a high fat diet. In general, I usually go with 10% as a basic estimator. So if I'm eating 2,200 calories a day, that's going to be 220 grams burned from thermic effect of food, plus a BMR of 2,000 or 2,050. You're already looking at, you know, absent other factors, a total calorie burn of about 2,200 to 2,250 to 2,300. Then you add in non-activity exercise thermogenesis, so that's, you know, the calories burned just doing your day-to-day stuff, walking around, grocery shopping, getting up and checking the mail, stretching, that sort of stuff. Then you add in the calories burned from active thermogenesis, so running, sports, weightlifting, exercise, right? Usually, conservatively speaking, I will burn about 3,000 calories a day. So if I am hitting 2,200 day after day after day, I make great progress. The trouble is that I often cheat and don't do that. But my protein goal is my calorie goal is 2,200. My protein goal is at least 200 grams of protein. And that is a lot. It requires me to eat a lot of lean protein. But if you want to put on mass, that's like muscle mass, that's what you're supposed to do. So good to see you, Damraf. Spartan Ninja says, would you be willing to help me out with building a meal plan for a 14-year-old female? I can handle keto, but I don't think it's a healthy diet for a teen, and I am clueless. Das Ministry, thank you very much for the follow. I very much appreciate it. Spartan Ninja, yes, I would. If you're the 14-year-old female, ask me here. If you are doing this for someone who is a 14-year-old female and you want to have a written note of it, come join the Discord. Arvis, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. I would say for a 14-year-old female, you're going to want to add more calories than is expected. Teenagers in general have a much higher metabolism than fully grown adults, and teenagers need those extra calories to grow. Teens also need more sleep than adults do. Usually, an extra hour or so makes a huge difference, and guys like LeBron James have been sleeping 9 to 10 hours a day for, you know, basically the professional athletes, they do a lot more sleeping. So if this is a teen that is looking to get into really good shape for probably sport of some kind, keep that in mind. It's my daughter. Yes, I would be willing to help. I'm not quite as good with doing it for women, but I can give you a basic template and start there. The first thing is egg whites are perfect for making high protein requirements. No. Damraf, you missed it. I chugged a whole pint of raw egg whites earlier. So in fact, before I go any further, this is my protein. I'm old fashioned. I do things with pencil and paper. I just write it down. And the reason for this is because due to my day job, I don't have access to my phone, which means if I'm eating lunch at my desk at work, I need a way to write down the macros from that. So good old pencil and paper helps. The other thing this allows me to do is write down my progress in the gym. So you'll notice, just come in here a little bit. You can see June 30th. You can see that is the watermelon I ate beforehand, egg whites, and it's protein, or sorry, it's calories, protein, fat, carbs, and then that's the protein shake that I'm currently sipping on here. And then below that was all the squats and the other exercises I did today. So the first thing, Spartan Ninja, you would need to do is find out what your daughter's height and weight are, and hopefully, y'all kind of have an idea of what it's going to be. I don't know if she's hit her growth spurt yet. 14, 15 is usually about that time where both for guys and girls, they start hitting that growth spurt. In general, I would say worrying about calories and worrying about how much, worrying about cutting fat, unless your daughter is obese, I wouldn't worry about it. In general, it's more important to put on extra calories as a teenager because you're gonna burn more off and you're still growing. My diet's very close to yours. How much do I weigh? I weigh 208 pounds. It's about 95 kilograms. It's a new tech pen and paper that can transfer to a cloud. Ever heard of it? If it's got Bluetooth technology, I can't use it. It is illegal for me to bring it up, and I could get fired for doing so. So I cannot use that at my day job. And here's what my day job is, if you guys are wondering. There you go. Sutho, thank you very much for the first time chat and for the follow. I appreciate it immensely. The reason that wasn't you with the follow. That was the first time chat. Blargus TV, thank you very much for the follow. 95 kilograms. Let me do the math on that real quick. I might have that off. It's 208 pounds, so let me just make sure the calculation's correct here, okay? I weigh 208 pounds. That's 94 kilograms, excuse me. But yeah, it's between 94 and 95. There we go. Hey, NFR, is that N friendly? Thank you very much for the follow. I am tall. All right, so let me get a little bit of water too. I'm getting a bit thirsty. We don't waste anything on this channel. Again, Ninja Spartan, come join my Discord, and I can help write one down. It's going to be easier to do that on the Discord than it will be here. So check out the Discord if you want more help with that. So let's talk a little bit about financial independence and the fact that I'm going to be able to retire at age 29. She's an obese, but she does have fat that should go. All right. Be very gentle with that. Teenage girls are very sensitive, I think, usually. All good, I'm already joined. I will help you with that in the Discord. It's going to be hard to do that here, but I'll be very happy to help you there. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up the markets because the stock market is open. This is Financial Fitness Friday. I'll give you a brief synopsis of why I'm going to be able to retire at age 30. As you can see from the background, I graduated from Texas A&M University. Texas A&M is a very good school, especially for my degree, which was mechanical engineering. I'm now a nuclear engineer. You don't need to go to an Ivy League level school to find pay that is good. In fact, you don't need to go to college at all. It's a popular misconception. The first step I recommend for those of you who are looking, if you either for, people you know or for yourselves, if you're looking to go to school, do an ROI or return on investment calculation. How much money you're going to spend in school How much money are you going to give up by not working? And is that the payoff of a potentially higher salary after graduating worth going for that? So, I chose mechanical engineering at A&M because, while economics is probably my favorite subject, and I did get a minor in that, I knew mechanical engineering had far better employment statistics and far better starting wages. Not to mention, because mechanical engineering is so broad, it's a lot more recession-proof. As someone whose formative teenage years were just in the aftermath of the 2008 crash, this was something very valuable to me. In 2008, my father, who was in the United States Air Force, got stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. For those of you who don't know, Dayton, Ohio is a Rust Belt town. It got hit really, really hard in the 2008 crash. It had 3 Fortune 500 companies in 2008 and none in 2010. Dayton has since recovered, but the point here is that Dayton had a 25% unemployment rate at one point. That's Great Depression levels of bad. So I saw that in my teenage years, and so did my parents, and they made damn sure to point it out to me. And they said, son, you guys, your generation, which, you know, I'm a late millennial, I'm born in 1995, your generation is not like our generation. My parents' generation were the boomers. They had to compete with other Americans. We have to compete abroad. We have to compete with India, with China, with Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam, you know, the Middle East, Europe. As a result, we have to work harder. That's what my parents taught me at a young age. That stuck with me. So I had to go to a STEM degree because my parents said, you are welcome to go to college. We'll even help you with it to an extent. My father, again, being military, we did get some GI Bill benefits, and because I went to an in-state school in Texas. When you're in the military, you get to choose state residency. My father chose Texas because he was a very conservative man and liked the political values of Texas in general, and because my older brother went to that nasty orange school up the road from A&M. So it was, I wanted to go to either Texas A&M or Purdue, another very good engineering school in Indiana, and it ended up going to A&M because Purdue did not offer enough financial aid to bridge the gap between out-of-state and in-state. So I chose Texas A&M. And I'm glad I did. A&M's a fantastic school. I have nothing but mostly positive things to say about it. There are a few things about A&M that drive me up a wall, but it's gonna happen. Anywho, do laser scanning, reverse engineering quality reports of various 3D solutions. That's awesome. Anyway, so I busted my ass in college, got a minor in economics, got a major in mechanical engineering in 4 years. I did not take a victory lap year, and I spent a lot of my college years in the lab studying. Now, I did other things. You know, I'd occasionally go to parties, usually before and after final exams. I did not have a 4.0. I had a 3.3. I had a good GPA, but not a spectacular one. I pursued internships, and I tried my best. Gnith, that nasty orange school is a new one on me, but I live right next to it. Bless your heart. Austin's turned into a shithole in the last 10 years. Austin's a terrible place to live these days. It's turned into a cut-rate Los Angeles, and I mean that in the worst possible way. I do not like Austin at all. Austin has completely failed to account for the massive growth the tech industry has brought it. I-35 chokes the city. There's no public transit. It's becoming rapidly very unaffordable to live in. The homeless problem is obscene. Construction is everywhere, and Los Angeles at least has the beaches. Austin doesn't even have that. If you want to move to Texas, stay away from Austin. You'd be better off in San Antonio, Dallas, or Fort Worth. You've been here since 1980. Okay, so then you understand. Austin was a much better place 10 years ago. But you can also understand, as an Aggie, I am almost obligated to hate the city anyway. She's very unhealthy, and I only know keto because that's what I did. Okay, so here's the thing with keto. Keto is fine, and keto is great, but it's not necessary to lose fat and gain muscle. In fact, the reason I'm not a fan of keto has nothing to do with its nutritional quality. It has everything to do with the fact that keto is fucking expensive. carbs are cheap. Beans, rice, grain, potatoes. These are things that are in reasonable quantities good for you. And moreover, they're what feeds the vast majority of the population on Earth. There are 8 billion people on Earth. If we all ate keto, we would starve. So if you want to do keto, that's fine. If you find that keto works for you, great. But you don't have to do keto to get a toned or diced or whatever kind of body. All right? You have to, the way it works is, right, what matters most is, first off, if you want to lose fat, you must run a calorie deficit, bar none. If you want to gain muscle or maintain muscle while losing fat, you must have a high amount of protein, bar none. Fat and carbs is what I like to call, it's like a balance, right? You can either go higher fat and lower carbs, or higher carbs and lower fat. I generally tend to be on the higher carb side because carbs are cheaper. It's just that simple. An excess of carbs is only a bad thing in the sense that it increases your calories consumed and therefore may create a calorie surplus, which means your body will store the excess calories as fat. Yeah, Gina, it's good. By the way, thanks for the first time chat. Welcome on in. You'll have to forgive me. I am absolutely one of the culty red ass Aggies. However, I'm self-aware enough to know that we are a cult. I just have never been, nobody has ever explained to me why A&M being a cult is a bad thing. I think it's a wonderful thing, frankly. Daniel Reese, 131, thank you very much for the follow. Anywho, as far as the financial independence thing is concerned, so I graduated in 2017. I wanted to join the nuclear industry ever since senior year of college, where actually, originally my goal through most of college was to go automotive. I fell out of love with the car and the automotive industry senior year of college, and from there, I really fell in love with the nuclear industry. I got stuck in security clearance processing hell. To put it simply, the nuclear industry and the Department of Energy is a far lower priority than the Department of Defense when it comes to the Office of Personnel Management. That's the government organization that hands out clearances. As a result, while I was waiting for a clearance for the nuclear industry, I applied to some Department of Defense jobs, ended up getting a job at a defense contractor because I needed a job. It was the bird in the hand. It was summer of 2017. I was working some odd jobs, some tutoring, stuff like that to get by, but it was not, the full-time job I was looking for. Anyway, I worked at a defense contractor northeast of Dallas, in between Dallas and Texarkana. If you know Greenville, Texas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Worked there until 2021, at which point, late 2020, I got a job offer from my current employer here in South Carolina. The last week I spent in Texas was that wild snowmageddon week where a giant snowstorm came down, the likes of which the state of Texas hadn't seen since the 19th century, and knocked out all the power and water lines. That was a fun week. I spent it living on Crown Royal and Shiner. There you go. There's my Texas story for you. I love Texas, by the way. Don't ever misunderstand. God bless the Lone Star State. It is... I love Texas. Absolutely love the whole state. Except for Austin, and I don't like Houston either. Dropped out of college after 15 credits. Way too expensive, and that was 12 years ago. Understandable. College, again, only makes sense if you can justify the return on investment. So I was on keto because I was 220 pounds and wanted to lose weight. Keto can do that, but it's not the only way to lose weight. Calories in, calories out is a law of thermodynamics, and therefore it always applies. There have been people who have done diets of nothing but Twinkies and lost weight. It's just about how many Twinkies you eat. Now, if you eat a diet of nothing but Twinkies, you will lose weight. A lot of it's also going to be muscle, so don't fucking do that, and you're also going to feel terrible while doing so. But if you keep your calories low enough, yeah, you can lose weight eating Twinkies. Don't do that. I eat 16 eggs every day. One omelet is with 8 eggs. That's really impressive. That is a lot of eggs. However, this is what might be hurting you a little bit on the calories. Now, I love eggs, and egg yolks have a ton of really great micronutrients that are really good for you. I would suggest blending your omelets whenever you make them, maybe 4 eggs and 4 servings of liquid egg whites, because it's about the macro ratio, right? So it's the grams of protein per calories. In general, If you can find foods that are north of what I call the magic line, that is 10 grams of protein for 100 calories, those are really good foods you want to eat a lot of. If you do that, you'll be more satiated. You will have a lot easier time hitting your protein requirements while staying below your calorie target. All right? But yeah, keto can work, but it's not the only way. And the reason I don't do keto is because it's expensive. Keto, it has to be expensive because you're supplying the vast majority of your calories with fat, usually in the form of meat, and meat is always going to be more expensive than grains or plants. Jar $7.95. Thank you very much for the follow. I do appreciate it. So, that's a brilliant way to get your clearance processed faster. Apply for defense jobs, push clearance through, then swap to your intended career once you've got your IDs. That's basically what I did. I worked. I didn't love my defense contractor job. I didn't hate it. It was okay. It paid actually below the average for starting A&M grad mechanical engineering. By the way, if you guys ever want to know what my salary is, what my day job is, I will be very upfront about that information because I personally believe that the taboo against sharing salaries in the United States is a clever way for corporations to get away with ripping people off and not paying them enough. I'm no economic leftist, but that's clearly some corporate fuckery going on there. So if you guys are curious about what I make, how I spend it, those are all questions I would love to answer. And again, there's a reason I have this. So anyway, how does this all relate to the fact that I'm going to be able to retire before I'm 30, and subsequently why I don't run ads on this channel? I run the minimum that Twitch allows me to, which is 30 seconds per hour, by the way, in case you were curious. Hi, Bull, just a quick question. What's your daily calorie and protein limits? They're not limits, they're more guidelines. I try to strive for 2,200 calories and 200 grams of protein. But yeah, Griff, Department of Defense gets top priority. That and the State Department get top priority when it comes to clearance processing. It's annoying, but it is what it is. So you gotta work the system, you gotta play the game. Anyway, when I started my job in the defense industry, and ever since, I decided to continue living the life I lived in college, with the exception of buying a car because I needed one. I chose an efficient one. I didn't buy a stupid one, and I've kept that car ever since. It's paid off, it's reliable, it's efficient, it's very, very cheap to run relative to almost any other car you can buy. If you can avoid a car and live in an area that is walkable, or better still, bikeable, and you can bike to work and bike to the gym and bike to where you need to go, that's a huge money saver. And if you can do that, it's worth paying more in rent to do so, or more in housing costs. Anywho, what I did was I optimized my finances starting from when I graduated. This is, to put it simply, working on the three biggest expenses and then working on all the small stuff. The three big expenses that will keep a person chained to their cubicle for 40, 50 years are housing, transportation, and a partner, okay? If you have a significant other that is a spendthrift, it's gonna make life a lot harder for you. I'm single, but I do have a roommate here. My roommate pays rent. In fact, my roommate I helped find my roommate a job here, and she is now a lot better off financially than she used to be, partially because I think she's learned a lot from me. Not trying to brag, that's just an objective statement. Transportation. I have to drive to work. Literally, if you rode my bicycle up to the site gates, they would turn me away. And rightfully so. It would not be safe to drive on the site roads or 55-mile-an-hour roads with no shoulder. So I would get run over. So that's not safe, unfortunately. It's entirely car dependent, and that sucks, but there's nothing I can do about it. So make the best of a bad situation. Buy a car that is inexpensive and affordable to run, and affordable to fix, and reliable. These cars exist, they're just not very sexy. The Toyota Corolla is a great example of one. People don't like the Toyota Corolla because it's boring. Yes. People don't like the Toyota Corolla because it's also sensible. I don't own a Corolla, I'm just giving you a very good example of a basic, affordable, efficient economy car that people can buy. Now, if you have a family of 7, obviously a Corolla is not going to work, but you're not taking that family of 7 to and from your workplace every day. Another great example are scooters and motorbikes. If you feel that you can absorb the risk of doing so, motorcycles typically will get you 60, 70 miles an hour. They're cheaper to insure, and they are a lot more efficient space-wise, as well as fuel-wise. So they're also usually cheaper to fix. You can buy a used motorcycle with good quality for substantially less than $5,000 in some cases. It's harder to do that with cars unless you're mechanically handy and you know how to fix them. So that's transportation. Housing. Housing in general, I recommend splitting with roommates if you're single. If you have a couple or if you have a family, consider a smaller house. I'm not saying you have to cram yourself into a New York City style studio apartment that's 200 square feet. But the house that I live in is perfectly adequate. It is roughly 1,100 square feet. It's about what the average house size was when it was built in the 1950s. The average house in the United States has become very, very large, even though the average American family size has gone down. The average American family is smaller, substantially smaller, than it was in the 1950s, but the house size since then has doubled. Why? I don't really know, but it's stupid. You're paying for extra space that you don't need. So I strongly recommend buying a smaller, more sensible house. That's what I've done. It's a very nice property. It's in good condition. It's on half an acre. I actually have produce growing in the back. My roommate has a little garden that I've helped build for her because she's got a green thumb. I don't, but I'm happy to do manual labor, so I built that, and then I got fresh watermelon in the fridge right now, and I might actually have a slice of that. That sounds pretty good. It's got a white inside. It's really neat. But I've also got wild grapevines growing in the back. I live in a state of South Carolina where everything grows, a part of South Carolina where everything grows, so I take advantage of it, as an example. It's also a fun thing to do it's a hobby that is cash neutral or even cash positive, depending on how you value the produce. Other factors. What do you do with all this money that you're saving? In other words, okay, so you've optimized your finances. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that since I graduated college, I have saved roughly 60 to 80% of my income on average. This is a lot, and a lot of people look at me like I've grown a second head when I say that. There's no reason, if you followed the career path that I do, that you couldn't have done the same. Now, if you're not making the kind of money that I am, and I'm not saying I'm a millionaire, hell, I don't even make 6 figures. Close, but the point here is that it's much more dependent on the spending side of things than it is on the making money side of things. Again, this is why I don't advertise all that much on my Twitch channel. You all noticed there are very few ads. There's a reason for that. There are fewer ads on my channel than basically any other affiliate on Twitch. I run the minimum I'm allowed to because I don't do this for the money. That's what my day job is for. So, where does this all tie in? Well, with all that extra money that you're saving up, I prioritize investments. The first is get the company match for your 401k. This is free money. If you work at any major reputable company, they usually have a 401k matching program. It also has a vesting schedule, so keep mind of that, especially if you're looking to hop jobs, every year to 2 years, that can become a problem. Second thing I do, fill up an IRA and an HSA. HSAs are brilliant if you're healthy and you know you're not going to use the doctor very much. It's a bit of a risk, but I've done so for several years, and as such, I filled up that amount, which is roughly $3,000 to $4,000 every year, and as a result, that savings accumulates over time to where now, yes, I have a high deductible healthcare plan, and the deductible for that, the max out of pocket, somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000 depending on in or out of network, but I have more than enough to cover that for multiple years on end because I've been diligent about savings and investments. HSAs are, I like to call them the best of a bad situation. The American healthcare system sucks, but HSAs are the best way to compensate for the fact that it sucks. Beyond that, if you have any high interest debt, pay it off. Don't hold credit card debt. That's just fucking stupid. That's not smart. Set up auto pay. It's like a 10-second thing. It's really easy. Just no. If you have credit card debt, you should be treating it like a swarm of hornets is stinging you nonstop. Try to make it stop as fast as possible. Credit card debt, especially at interest rates, which are usually 20 to 30%, that is really a good way to end up pissing away a lot of your money on interest payments. Mortgages. Housing depends on where you live. You may find that buying a house is more cost efficient than renting a house. You may find the converse. It really does depend on where you're located. Here, I found that buying a house is more cost efficient because the housing prices where I live in rural South Carolina are quite low. You may find that in places like California, it may make more sense to rent because the cost of housing is very high. It really depends. Or you may find in a place like Illinois, the cost of housing may be more reasonable, but it's still better to rent because property taxes are very high, especially if you live in the Chicago metro area, just as an example. The same applies for a lot of northeastern states. I've noticed in the Northeast and Midwest, property taxes are a lot higher than they are here in the South. That's just one example. Other things you can do. Food shopping. Don't shop at fucking Whole Foods. Shop at Aldi, Costco if you have a family, you want to buy in bulk. Lidl, shop at ethnic markets if you like bulk spices. I certainly do. I think they're really useful. It's a good way to cut down on food expenses. I spend usually about $200 to $250 a month on food. And frankly, that's because I've started buying a lot more luxury foods, as I would call them, over the last couple months. So that would be another example. HVAC. All right, so your biggest driver of electricity bills, unless you have an electric car, as I do, and by the way, when I say I have an electric car, it's a Chevrolet Volt, okay? I'm not out here flexing that I have a Tesla. A Volt is a very practical, affordable car. It's not the best car in the world, it's not the worst car in the world, but it's efficient, it gets the job done, and I've been quite happy with mine. If you can afford a house in Austin, you obviously don't have to worry about money at all. Yeah, if you live in a high cost of living area, consider moving out. There are lots of jobs in lower cost of living areas that are seen as unattractive that actually pay pretty well, especially in the engineering fields. For instance, out here in the nuclear industry, Plant Vogtle across the river in Georgia is still hiring, and Waynesboro is one of the cheapest places to live in the country. If you feel the need that you'd rather suck up a longer commute and live in a bigger city, Augusta's a wonderful town. I love Augusta. I actually spend a fair amount of time there. I went to Augusta Pride a week back. There's a lot of good stuff to like about this area. I live on the South Carolina side of the river, but in general, again, I really dig where I'm at. More than I thought, honestly. I thought I was really gonna miss Texas, and I do, but I've really found that I love this part of the country, Georgia, both Carolinas, north and south. So let me do a little bit of stretching out here. I'll do a splits if y'all want. A lot of my audience really enjoys that. Other things, so HVAC again will be the major driver of electric costs. Now, if you live in a place where electricity is expensive, California, this is worth considering. Consider what's called thermal acclimation. If you live in a hot climate, like I do here in the deep south, spend time outside. When you do, you will get more used to temperatures of 85, 90, 95, 100 degrees. And as a result, you can let the thermostat climb a little bit in your house and you'll still feel very comfortable. For instance, I usually keep in the daytime my thermostat at 80 to 82 degrees in here. It feels very nice. I also have fans running. Fans are cheaper than air conditioning because a compressor takes a lot more electric power to run than a fan. A fan motor is pretty small in terms of an electrical load. As an example, clothes dryers. If you live in a dry part of the country, I can't do this because South Carolina is very humid, but if you live in a place like Austin, or better still, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, California, you don't need a clothes dryer. Use a clothesline. Clothes dryers are very, very inefficient. They turn electricity into heat, which in the summertime is the last thing you want. So instead, run a clothesline. And in the summer, where it's, usually on the western half of the country, usually, sub 20, 25% humidity or lower, your clothes will dry out just fine. Now, if you live in the humid deep south like I do, that's not practical. But there are little hacks you can do besides that. You get the point. AKA Good Boy, thank you very much for the follow. I do appreciate it. So, we talked about where to put your money. 401k, IRA, HSA, those are the great starters. Beyond that, paying off high credit card debt. That's Gina. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that as well. Now, what to do with all this money that you're spending you're not spending, rather you're saving and you're investing. All right? Don't tell me that's beer and cigarettes on the table. It is not, actually. That's my roommate who left out a can of Chef Boyardee. That's irritating, but whatever. She has to pay rent in a little while. These are actually NFL tarot cards. She does tarot readings. I'll drop her a shout out below. But it's she does a lot. She also streams on Twitch, but she does different things than I do. I do more advice, more teaching type stuff, a lot of weightlifting, and she does Jackbox and tarot card reading. But if y'all are interested in her, and I often show up in the background on those streams, that is Dodger is my roommate, and she's also a very good friend. NFL tarot cards. Yeah, there's like only 2 decks in the world that's like that. I think tarot's bullshit. I'm a Catholic, so I kind of am religiously obligated to not believe in it, but I don't think it's very harmful. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, if you're interested in like fortune telling, if you're interested in Jackbox, that kind of stuff, she's a really great streamer for that content. Anyway, so let's talk about investing, right? So you've got all this money that you're saving. You're putting it in different accounts, HSAs, IRAs, 401k. If you've got all extra money in independent brokerage account like I do, and you're getting to the point where, all right, well, what am I going to do with all this money? I'm a huge fan of what's called Boglehead investing. Boglehead investing was pioneered by the legendary Vanguard founder Jack Bogle, okay? Jack, I think you're referring to Jackbox. It's a type of game that's very popular on Twitch. But Jack Bogle, okay, was a fan of Boglehead or index investing. The idea here is that the vast majority of us Joes that don't study the stock market for a living, are going to have a hard time beating the average. And in general, that's true. Now, there are exceptions to this, but those are people who usually spend quite a good amount of time studying and learning about the stock market. That's one of the things I'm trying to do, but ultimately, it's not something that I'm that knowledgeable about. So, what do we do instead? I'm a huge fan of Vanguard. I think Vanguard, being run by the investors, is kind of the Toyota Corolla of investment brokerages. The UI is unsexy, it's boring, it's dull, and it's stone dead reliable. That's why I like it. I invest a lot of my money in VTI. What is VTI? VTI is called the Vanguard Total Index. VTI more or less tracks the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest, or roughly 500 largest companies in the United States. And it's an index of that over time. So think Apple, Tesla, General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola. You get the idea. These kinds of companies are ones that are very unlikely to go bankrupt and very likely to continue producing lots of dividends. In general, the S&P 500, since it began in the late 19th century, has returned post-inflation about 7% returns on average. This means that using the rule of 72, your money will roughly double every decade. Now, there are going to be down periods, like 2022 was a bear market, 2008 was a crash, 2020 was a crash and then a meteoric rise back up, and there are going to be bull markets, 2015 to 20. 2021 was a really bullish year, but in general, it all kind of averages out to about 7%. Then, when we're talking about retiring, okay, well, what percentage of all that money invested can I withdraw? 4% is the rule that most people use for a 30-year retirement. I like to be conservative. I like safety margins as an engineer. That should not surprise you. As a nuclear engineer, that should especially not surprise you. And as such, I like going with 3.3%. There are also other safety factors I have. When I calculate my retirement, I do not consider things like Social Security. I'm making the assumption that Social Security by the time I'm 65 will not exist. As such, I don't worry about it. Will Social Security cease to exist by the time I'm 65? Probably not. Will benefits be reduced? That's possible. Social Security is going insolvent right now, and I think we need to raise the age that one can be eligible at for the future. But that's a different conversation, and it's not one within the locus of my control, so I don't focus that much on it. This is also making the assumption that when I retire, I'm not going to make another red cent for the rest of my life. That's kind of a silly assumption. Even though I don't advertise on Twitch, sometimes y'all drop me donations, and I'm very appreciative of that. But it's income I'm not really counting as permanent. So as a result of that, and there will be my roommate now home for lunch. Shouted you out already, Dodger, because someone was asking if that tarot deck there was a carton of cigarettes, and I had to explain it wasn't. Smoking is terrible for you. Smoking is to your lungs what alcohol is to your liver, what soda is to your pancreas. Don't do any of them, and if you must, do them in moderation. Anyway, thanks for the first time chat, by the way, Ja08. So let's take a look at the stock market today. Looks to me as though, beautiful. So the other thing I do, so the majority of my money, it's not just in VTI, it's in a little bit of diversified funds, things like VXUS, which is the same concept behind VTI, but for international firms. Think Siemens, think Merck, think Toyota. You get the idea. These are good firms, they're just not located in the United States. I feel it's good to diversify. Other ones that I like are VYM, that is a high dividend yield, so if you like getting monthly dividends, that's not a bad option. VNQ, which is a real estate, that's more things like REITs. Those also tend to produce pretty good dividends. VB and VO, which are small and mid caps. I may have that backwards. Let me check, make sure. Yeah, VB is small and VO is mid cap. So that's like the Russell 2000. So that's not the 500 biggest ones, but the 2,000 below that, you know, in terms of market cap, which is the stock price multiplied by how many shares are on the market. That's where the majority of my money invested, probably 70, 80, 85% goes right there. The other 20% is what I call my fun money. That's where I believe I'm somewhat bullish on certain stocks. I have not performed very well on these stocks, but it's kind of fun. So I'll throw a little bit of money those ways. I am somewhat bullish on the blockchain in general. While I don't have any crypto investments, I do think Coinbase is a good stock to buy below $60 a share. It's currently at 69. Nice. It's actually down 4%, so somewhat less nice. But I would be bullish on Coinbase below 60. SoFi stock, I believe, is going to perform very well, especially with the resumption of student loan payments, so I have a little bit of that. I think it's a good buy below $8 a share. Other ones that I think are worth investing in, honestly have not been very good so far. I'm looking at an entry point to Home Depot, hopefully below $300 a share. I think Home Depot's got a lot of upside. There are a couple others, but in general, those are the three I'm most bullish on. Let's see what else we got here. It looks like, let's take a look at the indexes. It says we got a mildly red day. All right. Hey, Don CT, thanks for the alert. Always appreciate you coming in. All right, so I know that was a lot like drinking water from a fire hose, but I tried to get it all out there for the remainder of y'all that stuck around after Joe rated, and that's always very much appreciated. It's a huge spike in numbers whenever I get Joe coming in, and I'm very thankful. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of water and do a little stretching. Do you guys have any questions? All right? If you want to ask me anything, this is the time. It can be about diet, fitness, investing, money matters, anything like that. Otherwise, I'm going to do my stretching, and then we're going to probably look to raid someone. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Ooh. That feels good after a leg day, but also very painful. Ouchie. I think today my plan is going to be to go into town, pick up some 2x6s to mount my wall bag. My boy Lab Boys is in here earlier. Probably do that. Probably look to do. Hey, thank you very much for the follow. Your BMK. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Oh. Hey, good to see you, Bobby. Welcome back. So, stretch out a little bit. Triceps. So, by financially independent, do you mean being retired in less than 2 years? That's exactly what I mean. It will be 670 days thereabouts. So, there we go. 670 days, 16 hours, and so on. That's currently scheduled for May 1st, 2025. Now, do I have to retire on that day? No. Can I, though? Yeah. Stretch out my back a little bit. And again, I really do believe that anyone could have done or chosen to do what I have chosen to do. Feels good. It's just a question of where do you put your priorities? So yeah, that's the plan. If, again, you have any questions about how on earth I'm planning to do that, what I make, why I don't run ads, I'm very happy to talk about any and all of that. That's all 100% okay. I try not to hold secrets, but I also try not to flex. So I usually, I don't state the numbers unless I'm asked. That's usually how I do it. So let's take a look at any of the other stocks. VNQ is down today. VYM is up. S&P appears up. Looks like up about 1%. It's at 44.40. That's pretty good. VDE is, that's one other I'm a fan of. VDE is energy, usually oil and gas. A lot of people are bearish on the oil and gas industry these days, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I would like it to. I think we should strive as best as we can in order to combat climate change with reducing our dependence on oil. Unfortunately, I also think the average American is a giant wasteful consumer. And as such, we're going to see people using oil and gas products for way longer than they ought to be. Stretch out a little bit here. Ooh, feel that in the shoulders a little bit, in the chest. Let's Trap's looking all right. That's not bad. Is that based on your estimated income from stocks solely or all your sources of income? It's generally based on, estimated income from stocks solely. So I do have other sources of income. I do get rent from my roommate, for instance. I don't really consider that income as much as I consider it like house hacking. Because it's really more a reduction in payments. And will my roommate be here forever? Probably not. Does that necessarily, I don't really factor that in, but it is absolutely a nice little tailwind while she's here, for instance. I would say estimated income from stocks, I would call, the other thing I do is I will say I feel as though the equity section of one's mortgage, if you own a home, is a form of savings. It's not a liquid form of savings, but the savings that you're getting from owning a home is proportional to what's called imputed rent. In other words, the rent you would otherwise have to pay if you did not own a home. Planning to hypothetically retire in 2 years from stocks, not bad. And again, this is what's called a safety margin. The fact that I'm getting a reduction in payments from my roommate is not something I'm putting in my calculations, but it adds that extra bit of safety margin to bring a confidence interval up. So the 4% rule usually works at a 95% confidence interval. A 3% would be something more like 97, 98%. And the 2% is as near as makes no difference. 100% plus, frankly, if you're withdrawing at only 2% a year, the likelihood that your money is going to grow a lot over time is also very high. I personally would get to the point where after a certain amount of time, I would look to up that and start spending more on charity and helping out people less fortunate than myself. That's just my opinion, though. As far as investing, yeah, in general, 3.3% is what my withdrawal rate's going to be. So I calculate based on that. The other one, again, Twitch does not, I'm not doing this for the money, but occasionally people will send me things on my wish list. People will send things. I have a tip page, for instance. So like, if you want to tip me, you can click that link. You don't have to. I don't expect it. It's just something that occasionally people do, and as a result, it's unexpected income that's not factored into my calculations. I don't say, oh, I expect to get this much from Twitch every single month as long as I continue to stream. I don't do that. But because it's an extra, it's an extra safety margin when it does happen, it makes me a lot more confident in 3.3% as opposed to needing to go to 3%, 2.5%, or even 2%. And this is valuable because there's something called sequence of return risk when you retire. Sequence of return risk is basically what it says is there may be some years, past performance does not necessarily indicate future results, but we can draw from the past sort of basic limits as to what the minimum rate of return is going to be, what the maximum rate of return is going to be. I personally don't think we are ever going to have a second Great Depression in this country. I'm a bit more optimistic than that. Now, if you're a doomer and you believe that's the case, well, hey, more power to you, but I don't. I think, in general, the United States economy is resilient enough to where we're not ever going to do that again. Mostly because I don't think we would ever have leadership stupid enough to enact something as destructive as the Smoot-Hawley tariff was in 1930. Just my opinion, but if you guys disagree, that's totally up to you. Where I'm going with this is that, in general, the years where you'd have had the worst sequence of returns were obviously 1928, 1929, but actually worse than those years were 1965 and 1966. Why? Well, in the 1970s, we had stagflation. The economy wasn't growing very fast, and inflation was close to 10% a year for much of the decade. And a lot of that was due to stupid decisions and policy choices made in the 1950s and 60s. The Interstate Highways Act of 1956 being a big one. That's my political hot take. I believe the Interstate Highways Act of 1956 was one of the most destructive pieces of legislation ever passed by Congress. And the Eisenhower administration does not get criticized for that. I'll go off on that rant at some other time. The point here is that if you retired in 1965 or 66, you would have had to make your money last through the 70s, where inflation was eating away at it, and you weren't getting the same returns that you might have been in the 50s and 60s. So, where does that leave us? Well, even in the 50s and 60s, your money would have lasted you 4%, or would have lasted you roughly 28 to 29 years if you had lived off 4%. However, if you get bear market year after bear market year, you're not just going to continue blindly withdrawing the same amount of money from your income, from your retirement fund. You're going to cut back, or you're going to look for an odd job to just supplement your income. Maybe that's a 5-hour a week or 10-hour a week type thing. Maybe it's a contract. Maybe you go back to work for a year. If you have to go back to work for a year just to, kind of buoy your finances, oh no, right? It's not gonna kill you. But that's a risk, right? It's not a guarantee that that's going to happen. We may return to the 1970s in terms of inflation. I would say it doesn't look like that's going to happen because contrary to a lot of people's opinions, I think Jerome Powell has actually done a pretty decent job as Fed Reserve Chair, especially since Donald Trump left office. There are some things I like about what Donald Trump did in office. One of the things I dislike the most is that he browbeat Jerome Powell into keeping interest rates at the Federal Reserve too low for too long. Interest rates should not have remained at near zero in 2018 and 2019. That was foolish. And it set the scene for a lot of the inflation we saw in 2021 and 2022. Let me get a little bit of water. Chat, if you've got any further questions, continue asking them. I'm enjoying this conversation. It feels more like a lecture. All right. Do we have any other further questions in chat? If not, I'm gonna probably look to raid someone pretty soon. We've been going for 3.5 hours, and I've got other things I need to do today. I want to try and mount that wall bag so I can start doing a little bit of boxing workouts, right? A little bit of cardio, stuff like that, on my rest days. That could be a lot of fun. Might start doing that on Thursday. That would be pretty neat. Could do like 5-10 minutes of boxing and then come in, play RuneScape or something like that. I'm not really sure yet. All right. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? I'm trying to think of what else. Let me give a TLDR for all of this. What matters a lot more than how much money you bring in is what percentage of your income do you save. If you can save 50% of your income or more, regardless of whether or not you live on $50,000 income, on $30,000 income, or on $500,000 income, it's about the percentage of your pay that you save, because most people, especially if you have that kind of mindset, most people are going to spend roughly what they do in retirement as what they do when they're living. Perhaps slightly less, but usually it's pretty close. So, good meeting you. Really enjoyed the conversation. Absolutely. Gina, if you'd like to join and talk more, I'm usually very active on my Discord channel, so I strongly recommend coming out and hanging out there. I also do other events. Sometimes I do just hanging out in the lounge. Like, I'll go up to the rooftop and drink a beer because I'm a little bit of a redneck, frankly, if the Mohawk didn't give that away. I'll sometimes do private shows, which are something I can't really talk about on Twitch, but if you're interested, again, the Discord is a great link to click. Anyway, I think we're going to look to raid someone. So we're going to take a look-see at Twitch. Good talk at a great pace from what I've gathered. Looks to me like we do not have much in the way of people to raid today. So, do we have any, if you guys have got a chat recommendation for someone I should look to raid in chat, you guys would like to direct the raid, this is a shot. I've got Jasu XD, that's about it. Other fitness and health workouts, I don't recognize a lot of these guys. It's probably why I got 47 people in here, because all the other streamers that are a bit more famous on and popular on Twitch are gone. Joe Workouts rated us earlier. She's awesome. If you've, again, found this stream and you don't know who Joe Workouts is, go follow her. Same thing with Celtsy. We already gave him some shout outs. I think I'll give her a second one just because she deserves it. There we go. There was a young adult struggling with homelessness in a container. Ooh, I was in the shower. Maybe raid her. Yikes. Let's take a look at her content. She's got 192 viewers. Holy crap. Too hot to be poor. 12-hour stream today. No, she's basically a cam girl. We're not doing that. That's no. I'd rather raid someone putting out more positive vibes than that. Sorry. That's not happening. No. Yeah. Let's see what else. Let's see who else we've got in the health and fitness channel. Let's see. Browse. We go categories: fitness and health. Who we got? We got 3 Tokes. We got Sauron wins. Juice Metal Megs. W Ramir. Domination Time. That might be a good one. 2Fit Lolo. Myself. That's kind of neat. Bracodius, Typical Yan, Rep Review, Handsome Leo Savage, Macework. Alright, looks to me as though... I'm gonna give this W Ramir guy a shout out. Let's go raid this guy. All right. Okay, so let's talk a few more moments about what I'm going to be doing in the future. I will be live again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. However, I will be Muay Thai Pazzle. All right, I'll take a look at that. Muay Thai Pazzle. I think I'm gonna go with this W Ramir guy. Anyway, so I will be live again at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I will not be live at my normal. Will not be live at my normal time on Sundays. However, I will be live on the 4th of July as a rest day stream. It should be a lot of fun. We'll play a little old school RuneScape. If you guys are into that, come check me out. It's fun rest day content, and I'd love to start a clan on there where we're hanging out with each other and all of that jazz. So, I think that's gonna be it. We're gonna raid our friend W Ramir. How do you say that? WREMIR. Is that right? 93. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and raid this guy. Raid message will be Bull Stampede, okay? Actually, we say Bull Rush. There we go. Bull Rush. Nice and simple. All right. So, as always, I'd like to go ahead and say thank you all for coming out. We had a lot of new followers today. I'm going to send you all thank you messages after the fact. As always, y'all, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form an ethos that can be the guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love. Come in for the hug, y'all. And...